Man, when you spit that alpha, bro, I gotta even mute and be like, man, take the floor.
I changed the name of the voice chat to Icosa Yield Party.
Oh, I love it.
I'm currently in the bar thinking about you, Mike.
Oh no, I'm dead. No, no more, no more. Um, you know, I bring up a lot of crazy stuff, dude. But like, I'm looking online, and you're seeing like, I don't want to put out the person's name, because I think he's a bad faith actor now. I think he's a bad actor, and like, I don't know how bad, but like, uh, there's this guy, and he was like, "Oh, dude, Bitcoin's going to 100K. 100. We're going to $200,000." While Richard's there, just like, "Yo, dude, didn't you see that fucking like run up? Like what, 22x or something from the bottom?" And it's like, I'm like, how could? And then the guy said, if Bitcoin, or he said, like, basically, if there's a certain price that's not hit, like, he'll delete his Twitter. He never deleted his Twitter, and people are still following him. And I'm like, who in the world is still like following this guy? You're not a real person if you're following this guy. And then I thought to myself, what if those aren't real people?
Some of them probably aren't. But the other thing is that some people like to be lied to.
True, true. Um, I'm just saying, like, you know, I think one thing I've learned, like, dude, dude. Do you know my mom works for a very reputable company, and they do really good business and stuff, and like, they do like like a whole bunch of stuff that's really important. And just like, my mom, like, to hear that her son dropped out of college to start his own moving company, and to put money into crypto instead of finishing college, like, that's, it's just like different level of like thinking. But I wouldn't turn back on my decision. I'm very happy. Like, I love where I live. I love my dog. Like, everything's pretty cool. My family's in good health. Like, I wouldn't change a thing. But that required like a different level of thinking. I remember seeing like all these college loans and stuff, and just like, I was like, oh, dude, I could see a lot of people being in debt. I like, like, if everyone has college degrees, like, well, that means there's more competition. That means like labor jobs and like AC mechanics. Like, those are the like jobs that I think will better in the future. And advanced technologies, obviously AI, and like crypto. Hi, like, that's why we're here. Um, it takes like a next level of thinking, and like, it's just like, you look at the Icosa system, next level of thinking. It's like this movement's about thinking for yourself. And like, boy, when you really sit down and you look at everything, I think Bitcoin's like, act like, it's okay for us to disagree with Richard on his opinion. Like, I don't want to be cultish about him, because I think he is a guy with who has great intentions, and he isn't going to fuck us over. But like, it's just like, it's so much more than like, what if the one thing I disagree with Richard is guns. Like, I kind of like, I believe if you're a law-abiding citizen, you deserve the right to protect yourself. Maybe the world changes and I need to change my worldview. But like, right now, like, in like, we have like gun laws here where it's very lenient, and just like, it's not like I'm worried about walking down the street. It's just to protect
Richard
yourself
is
from bad people. Like, but like, my bigger point is this: like, what if Bitcoin's a scam? like, what if like Bitcoin is actually 100% a scam?
How so?
It's just like it's just like fucking all Chinese fucking bullshit. It's just like I think that like Bitcoin, like no wonder like the government was like looking and eyeing Bitcoin so hard. I don't know, man. Like I just like what is Satoshi really dead? What if he's a really bad actor? He hasn't sold yet or anything, but like I do I just like I look at it with like how energy costs work. I think a lot of us here sit and we're like, like, wow, why would you ever buy Bitcoin? It's so fucking retarded. Like, I even like thought right from the beginning, I was like, you learn very quickly. Like, Ethereum mining like had some benefits because it was relatively kind of profitable, and if you were like living with your mom or something, you could just go, use some of her electricity to mine some ETH or whatever. But like mining Bitcoin has always been retarded.
No, it hasn't. When Satoshi first made it, he
Oh,
he
okay,
didn't
okay,
have any
okay.
idea that the energy and the costs were going to be what it is today. That was like, when it was in the penny range, to think that it could even hit $1,000 was completely fiction. Nobody thought that it could do that. So like mining back then wasn't a big deal. You could do it on your own PC.
Oh, I
And it
meant since
wasn't.
I got in, but you're right. You're correct. You're correct.
Yeah, it's changed over the years. So like you should change with it. It's weird though that some of these guys that are just into it in like 2017, so they're not even old school, but they still stick it out and become maxis. That's pretty weird. Um, it's bizarre too because people who are into it back in the day, we were all about competing currencies. So to see a maxi is just bizarre. Like, dude, this cryptocurrency was like an idea to compete against fiat currencies. So like, I don't know why we can't have cryptocurrencies competing also.
I like, I'd be like, oh, Bitcoin's okay. But I was like walking Koga and I was really thinking about it and I was like, I like it a lot less now. Like after understanding upgrading admin keys, like I yeah, like my views like, when the world changes, like you need to change your worldview a little bit. Well, like I'm just like, man, I don't think I could like, $1 million of mining equipment makes you $200 a day. That sounds like a death trap. And like even if with higher prices, $1 million of mining equipment back at all time highs would be like what a three and a half, 4x or something. So like you'd be making $800 a day off $1 million. And it's like that's a lot. And then like there's just so many other factors like rising electricity costs and everything. I guess you do have the argument of rising cost of Bitcoin, but like I've always thought it was like with ASICs and stuff, it was retarded.
Yeah, but you know that Richard's still bullish on Bitcoin overall. He still thinks it's going to hit 100K and beyond. He just shit talks it because the maxis are so stupid and tribal, and because it doesn't perform as good as these other altcoins, especially Hex. That's why he talks shit on it. But if nothing else was around, he's still a bull.
Oh, well, you can. So I, yes, two things can be true at the same time. I agree. Like, how do I want to put this? So Bitcoin could still go up. The current monetary system, like they're really inflating the dollar, and all of that money does end up in assets. And if people like it, you know, like there's always gonna be people who throw money at it, so the price will go up. Um, but yeah, it's fucking like I think it's fucking trash, and I like now kind of view it very closer to mint as many free coins as you want commie coin. Like it's on the same, it's like almost on the same level. It's so stupid. Like like this is going to be on an energy efficient blockchain. This is no electricity. This is like there's just so many things that make it 10 times better. Like it's inflationary in terms of hex, but it's deflationary in terms of shares. The economic model is just, bro, this is Keynesian and Austrian economics into one like love child. And it's just like both sides were right and wrong, I think. And like I've always been the person who's like, let's find something in the middle, you know? Like, can we find middle ground? And it's like, I think Hex is that middle ground, bro. Like this is going to be just this could like oh, I think this changes the world. I'm sorry.
What's up?
I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you, Mike.
Yeah.
What up, Sloth? Heard you're a blue belt, dude.
What's up? Yes, I am.
How long you been training?
Well, about 4 years total. Just got my blue belt. I'm on my third gym right now, funny enough. And all the COVID stuff put me out for a year, obviously. But yeah. So finally got the blue belt. Took me long enough.
Congrats. It's awesome.
Thanks, man. Now I just gotta get back into the gym. School's been taking over. I spent like a bit about almost a month and a half now since I've been in. I don't like it. I gotta get in.
I never stopped, dude. COVID did not keep me off the mat.
Nice, man. That's good. You got a whole extra year of training on everybody else.
Oh yeah, dude. It's hard as hell to get back on the mat after you take a break. It's so hard to get back on. You know, a lot of momentum keeps you sharp.
Yep. No, 100%. That's why I need to get back on the mat soon. A month and a half is a long time. But yeah, I know like when all the stuff was first dropping at the gym I was at, there was a bunch of like, underground rolling sessions on the DL. The school was closed, but the main people were like, yeah, I'm still gonna come around.
Yeah.
But you guys keep talking. I'm gonna do a quick workout. I'll just listen in.
But who was it? I think it was Trip told me recent, or no, it was Rich, and he was saying that like the SEC. I didn't, dude. Everyone's sending me so much fucking shit. It's hard to comprehend all the information. It's hard to keep up with the math of Icosa and like what's like going on in the real world and like trying to apply it here. Like the SEC was a Gary Gensler. Is that his name? I think it's Gensler, I think. And he was saying like they're like leaving DeFi alone, but it sounds like they're just cracking down on CeFi. Bro, this is like the I just feel like this is the year like where things start to change. Like I don't know when. Could be next year. I don't know. But I get this feeling where it's just like there's a lot of exciting things happening and stuff. And or possibly in the works, and you see like they're like, bro, like okay, when we look at it, it's just like you could look at the launch of Hex or the sacrifice and look at it as controversial, like oh, like controversial, but like legal disclaimers in our current laws, like that's why I'm here, is because it follows all the laws. Like it rides the line, but like that's how a lot of things in life are. Um and I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But like it's just like that, like if they really wanted or if they had an issue in any inkling that like that was an SEC violation or something, like they would have taken Richard down. Like not taking him down, but like at least like taking him to the SEC, like to have a filing against him. Like remember, this was a YouTuber who was getting looked into. Like read between the lines. Like if the like government had a problem like with the launch of Hex or the launch of Pulse, dude, like something would have already been done. Like we would have, like Eric said, like, oh, like you're never going to go to America, and then like Richard's just like streaming on Snapchat, like, yeah, bitches just bought a fucking Tesla, like here in California, in America, hi, yeah, hi Eric Wall, and just like it like, and I think he lives in Europe. I don't know, like I think he does, um. Like if they had a problem, they would have probably said like, "Hey, Mr. Hart, like we didn't like the way that you were like doing things, but like if you're following the laws, like there's some points where the government's it's just like it's not even worth looking into, and it's sufficiently decentralized. It's just like they like what happens if they start turning really hard on CFI? Look at all the harm that's been done. We might see, these FUD campaigns, bros, like these things are going to get gnarly. I just see this future where like you're going to have constant people in here and we're going to have to start like banning people and stuff. Like it's not going to be pretty, I think, like at certain points. Not like today or tomorrow, but like people are going to be trying to fudge you out of your bags all the time. Like this is just the beginning. Like I said the other day, like I need you if it's like if like you need to be like I'm not here like bro. I don't care about the price of Hex anymore, bro. Like I can't sell anyway, bro. I'm staked. Like I can't do anything with it. I do like it when Icosa goes higher than when I bought. I'm like, yeah, my interest is worth more. Um, I don't know, man. Like it's like I put all these things kind of together and it's like, man, like I like Hex so much and like I don't care what Richard does. It's about the tech and it's not like he's doing it for attention. Like obviously humble Richard didn't do it for the world. Like I'm one of the weird people who likes watching a guy with a top hat give life advice for a 3-hour live stream. Wow, I wonder why like all the fucking stupid people don't like him. Like like my buddy was there and he was like, man, like I remember showing him a Richard video and he was like, yeah, man, like that's cool, I guess, man, like whatever, and he wasn't interested. And then I showed him the Richard Hart Snapchats with the fucking Rolexes. He's like, oh man, dude, this Richard Hart guy, he's hard, man. Like I like this guy. He's spitting some facts, man. And like like God, dude, it's fucking working, dude. Like my buddy Jai, like he did put in like $100. Like he like like and I told him I was like if I'm wrong like I'll like give you the money back. I gave him like just to edge him in. And but like God, it's fucking working, bro. How can be priced down 97% and he's still near 300,000 followers? Like because he's attracting to a new audience. A bigger audience. And now we have Alex for fucking YouTube. Oh, and crypto. Watch out. Watch out, you fucking shillers. Just watch out, you fucking bad acting pieces of shit. Bro, this is where like we're gonna remember. I think we're going to remember this year the rest of our lives. Like like dude, this is second. I kind of view this well, like especially at 2-cent Hex and like 50-cent Icosa. I don't know. We could go lower. we don't know what's going to happen. But like, dude, this is second chance hex, baby. Like, there's no other. Like, I just keep coming to that conclusion, dude. Like, Bitcoin sucks so fucking bad and is so retarded that, like, yeah, it'll go up in price, sure, but like, there's no possible way that it goes up compared to hex. There's just like, it's just impossible, and it sucks. Like, I sold when like a week before Elon Musk bought. I sold all my Bitcoin. It wasn't a lot. Like, I had like half a Bitcoin or something, and like and then I found Hex, and I was like, wow, dude, this is like next gen. And just like, dude, it is old, expensive tech, and we can't just keep like, for everybody who wants a virtue signal, like, we can't keep wrecking the environment, man. We got to save the environment. And like, obviously, Bitcoin is just like kind of trash. Like, proof of stake networks are just so much better. It's like comparing dial up to fiber. Does anyone got any input on that? Like, I know I like brash statements like, yo, Bitcoin sucks. Like, it will go up, but it sucks so fucking bad. And it's just like, dude, it's like on the same par as fucking Kami coin to me.
The easier way to correlate it would be carrier pigeon maximalism, fax machine maximalism, and high range fiber optic internet. So just because you're no longer needing a carrier pigeon or the Wells Fargo Express to use the little ponies to deliver something, a fax machine is better than not. But at the end of the day, you have to either evolve with your technology or just like Blockbuster, you get Blockbustered by Netflix.
I couldn't run Netflix, back on the old gen tech.
You also don't want to be using a BlackBerry phone to surf the internet either. Works great for a phone.
So, guys, someone's coming to look at my truck, and hopefully I lowered the price because, a little drama. Like, I was, we gotta be careful what we talk about here, but I think it's, the Pulse Pay. It seems like a really, like, I do more game theory about all of this, and like, my goal is like, yo, how do I sell as little like Icosa and Hex as possible, and Hedron, because I want to participate in the auctions, and I want to build my position and everything. Like, how do I sell the least amount of like Hex and Icosa and stuff? And like, I kind of think that like, at some point we may need to have a talk about Pulse Pay. I'm not saying that like I'm all for it or against it. I'm just question mark, because there, it's it seems like there's some people putting some really hard work into this, and like they're like, I have some people that I know that are working on it, and I'm like, oh, like, if you're working this hard on it, like, damn, bro, like, Hexecutioner's been in there a lot, and everything. Like, I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying that like, maybe look at. I'm like, not going to do the full amount of, but like, I'm putting down like $100 towards the donation. I don't know enough about it. Once again, dude, there's so many things to look at through all this fucking shit. But like maybe I think some people might want to consider hearing what Cash has to say. I kind of bumped heads with her, but like things got fucking things were really heated, and I walked in at the wrong moment with my strong overtaking. And but like I think it might be part of the game, man. Like that onboard, offboard. When certain people are working on stuff or they're not speaking out against it, I it's we talk about it, but like I'm kind of looking. I'm like, if I sell my truck, I'm going in on Famous. I did some of the math on Famous, guys, and just like, boy, couple $100 million of liquidations. And I think it was something like for every 100 million of liquidations, assuming 80% of the coins are staked, which that's another thing. Like maybe all the coins aren't staked in Famous, and that's something to think about. But like I want to try to find a way not to sell, but that could like lead into Pulse Pay as well. And then you're making money at every single step of the process. It's like how did I put that in the real world? Just some thoughts for like everyone I think to think about. Like I'm gonna put at least a little, like they said, like if you put in a little bit of money, I think for the donation. Mango, what was it? Like if you do at least a little bit for the donation, you lock in a spot. Like you don't have to do a lot, right? Like I was thinking about doing like $100. Is he still here? Oh, dude, Mango left. Never mind.
So I can't really talk to Pulse Pay, though I did talk to Cash for about an hour and a half. It's different than OK Coast, which I think is the strongest fiat on, fiat off within regulations of the SEC. Now, what Pulse Pay is doing is using their ability as a tribe, which is essentially a city-state inside of a state, inside of the United States, which can actually do business to other countries, because theoretically, reservation or a tribe is a city-state into inherently of itself. So I believe what you're saying is by doing the donation, you are locking yourself in to being part of the digital tribe, which is under the jurisdiction of that tribe's city-state. That's different than, okay, what Coast is doing with their fiat on and off and dealing with SEC regulations and all the rest of that. It's just a different way to look at how to execute its avenue. Again, I cannot speak pro or con. I know that eventually Cash wants to have me talk to the chief, but people are building, and building is good.
I do think that we have a strong. I'm not a lawyer, but like I understand just like basics. But I think we have a strong legal argument. Look, we all gather around the magic money machine every day at a time, hold hands, and wait for the money to be dispensed into our hands. That sounds like we're a tribe, and like we're like Native American almost, but we're on the online age.
No, there's a vast difference between the two, and I'm not going to argue semantics about Native American people, because you got to realize that they have particular rights due to the Trail of Tears and having their land usurped and all the rest of that. It also is a different vessel, such as what happens in Puerto Rico, where they actually don't have governance, but yet things are being able to be pulled. But that is not for me to talk pro nor con. Cash seems very, very nice. We had a great conversation, so I cannot talk pro or con, but Executioner's a badass. Jawa's a dear friend. And again, I'd never tried to shade anything. I'm just a simple game dev mechanics guy. So I can look at mechanics completely objectively. And there's a difference between what Coast is doing and what PulsePay is doing. Ideally, I like to help everyone with these fundamental mechanics, and I will continue to do said and such. But that is the difference between the two.
I was just more like there's always the chance that like something's not good, and they take all your money. But like I'm starting to think, I wasn't sure about Buck, But like I kind of think he's pretty cool now, and I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I think his stuff is cool.
Buck and Dylan are very, very, very smart. Very, very, very smart. So I don't sit in the chat room because of the whole Eric Wall stuff, but he uses that to a competitive advantage for what he uses it for. And Buck is very, very, very smart.
We knew you were here. You want to chime in?
Oh, Buck isn't here. What up, Buck?
Hey guys, I'm just listening passively.
Well,
I promised Watsa that I would stop into one of these. But
well,
I'm in the middle of doing something else at the moment, so that's why I'm not being particularly chatty.
that's okay. You multitask as you do, but that KDP stream with all of us was fucking fire, man. Next time I'm going to make sure that we get a recording on that stuff. But it was a lot of minds, a lot of good ideas, and a lot of positive momentum forward. And I think that's what the space needs instead of crypto bros pretending like they know what they're doing without actually trying to drive the car themselves. So tip of the hat to you and what you guys are doing, Buck.
Yeah, nice. The pretty good little pump. The past couple of weeks. I reckon East bottomed. I think as much as I enjoy the bear market, I think the worst is behind us now, most likely, and it's been incredibly useful.
Yep. By the way, did you ever check out that slide I sent you about Jobs' Law? When you were talking about Apple way back when, I had a slide in my deck about that, so I figured you'd enjoy it.
Where'd you send it?
It was over Twitter.
Yeah, but I could have gotten lost there because I have too many accounts.
I did, sir. I understand all of that. In fact, I hate Telegram for that exact reason. But yeah, check it out. I think you'll enjoy Jobs' Law.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Hey, Buck, question for Famous. Are there a market cap or a circulation supply for how many Famous coin will be distributed?
So they're both Fiat and Famous have the same supply, and I believe it's 55,555,500. But yeah, it's basically 55 million and change, and that's deflationary on both of those. Fixed supply.
Thank you.
Over time.
Oh, sweet.
It decreases. Yep.
Can you speak to because your SAC for Famous is still open, correct? Whereas Fiat was in and out with what, like a 4 mil SAC, whereas this one is still open, but it still has that same lock supply. Is what you just said?
Yeah, that's right. So basically, we did a rate. So if you go to the famous.io and you type in SAC, it'll take you to a link that has all the details. But basically, you're basically paying a rate based on when your money comes in. So the guys that went in a month ago got a slightly better rate than you get today, right? Just based on being earlier. But they took that risk, right? So if crypto rallies a ton, you can potentially SAC now and get more than they did, right? Or vice versa. So that's why I did it that way.
Yeah, you're just using a time weighted bonding curve, right?
Not exactly time weighted bonding curve, but just basically the best rate was the first dollar in, and it gets progressively worse as we reach hurdles. Currently, we're
so it's weighted on the dollar amount that goes in for
Correct.
the inflection and how the rate goes up. Yes, I see what you're talking about now. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that meant that a lot of people went straight in, which is what I wanted to have happen, right? And now we're just leaving it open because I find it's a better onboarding tool than closing it while we're waiting for the devs to be ready to launch eFiat, which I think won't happen in January, but I think is probably going to happen sometime in February, probably mid to late February, but it could be March as well. So that's where we're at. So I'll probably leave it open for a while, but we'll have to close it before we launch the fiat on Ethereum. So that's where we're at. I heard you guys were talking about Pulse Pay. I'm pretty confident Pulse Pay is a scam, like, because it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
like
and just on that, you can have good intentions and work all you want, or stay up all night to talk to you, but they could be trying to want it to work, but it doesn't make it right. But that one's a little bit more confused than what
it doesn't make any sense. Like whether or not they're, they can have like a theoretical good mechanics thing that you can go look at and go, oh wow, this is a clever idea. But it's just like the whole thing doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense that a chick with an African American accent is a Native American elder that's going to get you tax relief through some trust structure when such things don't really exist. And furthermore, that person wouldn't be anonymous in a Telegram group trying to go after you guys if they did have some sort of fancy offshoring, technique. You're not big enough to be worth their while if that's the case. These sort of offshoring techniques are for rich people, right? You don't prospect off of plebs in a Telegram group asking for $1,000 for a sack. And then furthermore, they ask you to dox yourself, so that I think they can probably blackmail you or even leave you with the leave you guys to blame, some of you who are running it. That's what seems logical to me. So when they run with the money, they go, oh, well, you should talk to these guys. They're the ones in charge. And that's going to be, guys like Executioner and Jawa potentially, if they're like actively helping facilitate this. So like to me, this is just my guess, but I'm pretty confident this thing stinks to high heavens. And
I think it has.
I haven't been wrong about one of these yet. So
I don't disagree with what you were saying. I didn't actually even pay attention to the damn thing until Jawa brought me in, and I love my little flat earther to death. I just want to print a picture of the Earth on a piece of paper and be like, how thick? He didn't say it was how thick the Earth was. He just said it was flat. But he pulled me into the damn thing and then put me on a chat with Cash. And again, I ain't shading at all. The only thing I do, if anything I do, is I just look at mechanics. That's it.
So you spoke about anything else. You spoke to Cash, right?
For about an hour and a half, and I was just trying to pick at what they were doing.
Cash is completely incoherent. What she says makes utterly no sense. She uses a bunch of financial gobbledygook, which, if you're uneducated in finance, maybe you would convince some of you. But literally, she doesn't understand her ass from her elbows about what she's talking about. And it's very obvious.
But they're saying that they've opened up a trading desk with 1 mil, and they've got big clients like Citibank and Bank of America that are interested in the Pulse volume liquidity transactions, and then I'll earn $60,000 a month, in transaction fees. It just doesn't make sense. And how is that tied into their offering plus a token?
And trading desks are very expensive. Okay, I know a thing or two about this. I work with them every day, right? Trading desks are very expensive. That's why they're usually run by places called Goldman Sachs, right? And Goldman Sachs doesn't work with you guys. Goldman Sachs works with PIMCO, Fidelity, big fucking asset managers who have billions of dollars to put to work, right? That's what these things are like. And in the private banking world, they don't talk to you guys. A bunch of disgruntled redneck hexicans, right? They talk to rich people, right? Like Zuckerberg type people, right? Family offices, actual rich people, right? So they're preying on you guys and your political philosophies, which I happen to hold as well, right? But that's why it's an affinity scam. They and they go after someone like Jawa, and who can be influenced pretty easily just by saying, hey, we're trying to be sovereign and we're trying to get away from the government. And these are all things I agree with, and you guys probably agree with as well, right? But that's how they get you. But none of it makes any fucking sense. Absolutely.
Don't disagree with you at all.
And,
the only
and
thing I can actually say.
Hold on, let me finish. I asked the chick who, claims, tells me that I don't know anything about private banks, which is pretty funny. If only I could tell you, if only I could tell you what more about what I do. Anyway, I then just asked her basic finance questions, right? Because she claims to work at a trading desk and private banking and all this stuff. I said, so what happens when interest rates go up to bond prices? Okay, this is a one-word answer. Okay, for you guys that don't know it. Okay, she starts to tell me like a whole fucking like long-winded story about, well, interest rates, they're kind of like what you get at the bank, and you don't get as much as you used to. Like, she just starts going off on this thing because she doesn't know the answer to this very easy finance 101 question. It's a one-word answer. Okay, and everybody who's ever studied economics, finance, anything will know the answer to this question. Okay, interest rates up, bond prices down. Very simple, right? Like, and that's why all of crypto got wrecked this year, because interest rates went up, bond prices went down, so did the rest of equity prices, everything else, right? So this is just like a very basic thing she didn't know the answer to. I asked her, kind of some other questions, that are absolute softballs, like, what would you tell to a client that comes to you with $1 million to invest? This is a standard job interview question that you ask, every single person who works in wealth management, right? And what you're not supposed to do is you're not supposed to say, go buy Bitcoin, right? You're supposed to say, well, you should talk to the person about their, financial position, their liabilities, or, this or that. And then you should give them, advice based on that, and, pick a diversified basket of, the following assets that are sort of, suitable to that person. Okay. She didn't give me any answer like that. She didn't even give me, buy Apple. Right? Like, she literally doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. And so I was like, okay, are you a salesperson in this? Or are you just, some part, she's like, no, I'm the brains behind it. That's what she told me. So I was like, fuck me. Okay. So yeah, basically this thing, I'm almost certain I would probably put my mother's life on this. That I'm that confident that this thing stinks and it's not going to work. And if you put your money into this thing, you will lose your money. I'm almost that fucking certain.
I do not actually disagree with you at all, Buck. I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah, no, but it's really funny because it's like I say this and then I fucking randomly come into chats and you guys are talking about me saying, oh, like Buck's too mean to these guys, or like Buck doesn't listen. It's like, no, I've just laid out a pretty good fucking argument, guys, and there's the argument. Right, and you can go tell me, oh well, trust structures exist and all that stuff, but that's not the point. The point is, none of this stuff makes any sense. She's not the person that would know how to do such a thing. She doesn't sound like a Native American. She sounds like an African American. She's not educated in finance. She claims to run a private bank. And
the thing is,
anonymous in a telegram.
The thing is that also you don't need a crypto to become a Texas Ranger or a state national. I looked it up on YouTube. Hire a lawyer and do it yourself. It's stupid.
Yep, that is correct as well.
Really
the only thing I
do this. Yeah.
Well, I was just saying the only thing that I find is interesting is how they're paradigming city-states as Puerto Rico is inherently without representation, so they can use big money to flow through it. Just simple mechanics, and I just sit and talk to people, but I don't disagree with anything you said, Buck.
Yeah, that's not the problem. Like, there are interesting tax structures you can use. They're out there. If you want to learn about them, you can Google them, right? Law firms will help you set them up, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you should trust somebody who comes into a fucking telegram and tells you that they've got a magical one.
And it was so funny, like they were going, oh, a trust is like some sort of unusual thing. It's an everyday thing to protect assets and protections and relationships and things. Like they're going back to some conspiracy theory. It's like,
Hamish, you said you're an accountant, right? Did I get that?
Yeah,
Did I get that
I'm an
wrong?
accountant.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
it
So
kind of
Hamish,
like it actually pissed me
Hamish
off
knows.
really because yeah, there were some
All
of the
day long.
guys that you got to know in Icosa, and then they were like
Yeah.
preying on stupid shit. Yeah.
Yeah, all day long. So yeah, if you're an Australian or a Kiwi, like all day long, you're putting your businesses into trust structures and things like that. Like everyone's got one. Literally everybody who's got a small business or any kind of business where I live has one. That they're that common. Like like it's and that's your accountant's job, right? And you don't need to anonymously send Hamish money. Just to set it up, like he'll charge you like a reasonable fee, and you'll get your family trust structure, right? Like it's just.
Can I chime in? I got a question for you, Buck. I know crypto, game theory, and hacks. I have my area of expertise. I'm the best mover around. But like when it comes to like banking and stuff, like I don't understand. Like this is a whole nother level of expertise that I don't understand. Like I know state nationals are a thing. And this is the question she didn't answer me. There's state nationals. This stuff is a thing today. What's like why can't I just go like, and I asked her why can't I go to a lawyer and do the state national thing if it's already a thing now? Why should I go to her?
Because it's
a
scam. Like it's because it's like all you need to do to make something like this work is, and this scam is something she's gotten from somebody else, because there's this other guy who's doing similar, and somebody flicked me the information, but she's basically taken this other scam that they go around and they talk to gullible suckers, and like for better or worse, there's a lot of you guys in this community, right? Like a lot of you guys are gullible suckers, and a lot of really wealthy people in this community are gullible suckers that got right for once on Hex, right? But a lot of them come
Correct.
from BitConnect and other things. Like you guys, so you guys are just targets, like that's just the way it is, and you're easily persuadable. You're naturally conspiratorial. You like I'm not trying to pick anyone here. I'm like this to a certain extent as well, right? It's just I'm describing what I think it is. But it's like, yeah, if this were real, you would just go to your fucking accountant. Your accountant would go, well, I don't know too much about this, but let me refer you to this law firm. One of my other clients, does a lot of business offshore, and they use these guys to set this up, and that would be it, right? Okay. But the thing about this stuff is it's expensive. Like you need to pay thousands of dollars to get these things set up usually, right? And it doesn't really make sense unless you're a person of means, right? Okay. Because those guys that set up these things, they're professionals. They had to go to school, they had to go to college, they had to get degrees, right? They run businesses. They charge hundreds of dollars an hour, right? So guess what? They're not fucking here talking to you bums. You know what I mean?
Correct.
But you know who can be here, talking to you bums? Like a welfare queen, right? Because like if she gets even 20 of you to send her $1,000, like that's more money than she makes in a fucking year being a waitress at Denny's, right?
That was one thing that Rich told me. He was like, dude, she was in there for all day. And I was like, but like, that doesn't mean that she's not a scammer. I'm not saying that she is or isn't. I'm just like, well, that doesn't prove fucking shit.
That just shows you how fucking good the margin is for her, right? Like she's, this is a lot of money for her, right? And she claims to have a PhD in chemistry, and she said she was an Air Force captain. Now, I don't have a chemistry background that I can recall very well because I haven't taken it since high school, but I'm pretty sure one of you guys could probably fucking ask her some basic chemistry questions and find out that that's bullshit, right? But
I mean, hell, you could ask ChatGPT to fucking do it and do it in real time if you really
well,
want to.
that was the thing. So like I started asking her questions, and it's like I think one of the guys that's in on the scam with her, or one of her helpers, started answering the questions for her using the internet. And so like I said, anyway, I asked her a whole bunch of questions, and the funny thing was she could have Googled them and probably given me a response. They were that easy, but she just went off on bullshit tangents. The only question she was able to answer correctly was, what is Richard's favorite fast food? And I suspect somebody just DM'd it to her. Is my guess.
I have a question.
That was the only question she can answer.
when it comes to like, I fell asleep. Like everyone, I was there, like, but I fell asleep, so I didn't hear any of the stuff. Bad sleep schedule. But like, I heard stuff about an NDA and like stuff like that, and it's just like I know that threw you off because like I'm not signed. I've
Yep.
never signed an NDA. I don't like that. Like, could it be
It's
like
it's completely unnecessary, right? So and once again, it's like it doesn't make sense. Okay,
There is no need for an NDA to invest in something. That is not how that works. Correct. Buck is 1000% correct.
If you have some sort of legal structure that's legal, then like you don't need an NDA for that. You need an NDA when you have something that's like hyper proprietary, and like if anybody understands how this thing works, it'll like your entire moat will be gone, right?
Wait, what?
That doesn't make any sense, right? Well, if it's just her doing some sort of private banking thing. No, the reason
That's
she does
not what the
NDA is
NDA is for.
the NDA is so that you can get people's details and so that you can potentially blackmail them or fuck with them, right? That's what it's for. And
because
when
this
you
is
rug,
towards the Hexagon community, which if like there were a lot of Hexagons who have quite a bit of money, early stakers and stuff.
Yeah, but Mike, that's what you have to understand is going into Pulse, there's going to be all of these over and again and again and again and again. And if you can't find people that like can argue like Buck can or OK Coast or me or Alex or someone that actually understands the multiple tiers of fundamentals and why they work, they're just using buzzword salads. And we're going to see even more and more and more of this as things go forward. They usurp the yield and rate of people that were here before us that didn't understand what they were doing. They just got lucky and pressed the buy button, like Buck was saying. They won the lottery early. And if you were here back in BitConnect, Regal Coin, Extra Coin, Dabber Coin, Eigen Coin, oh my God, anyone just trying to search for yield between USI Tech, fucking all of it. We were just trying to find yields. Now we found yields. Now we have the golden ticket, but other people will try to usurp on top of that with a whole bunch of buzzword salad.
Can I ask something to you guys, Buck? Because one thing I asked was, well, how is this different from what Mountain Crypto is doing? The crypto advisors. What's your thought process on them, Buck?
Yeah, so at least with Mountain Crypto, it's like there's a website, there's information, there's licenses. I actually know what's going on there. I don't particularly like that product because the fees are too high, right? I think they're like almost 10%, which is pretty high, right? Like usually you want about 1% fees for something like this, right? But it's unfortunately they have to be higher because the business hasn't really scaled yet, right? But Mountain Crypto, like at least that's not an obvious rug pull scam, right? Like those guys have licenses. If they steal your money, they're going to jail, right? You have legal recourse, right? That's the real world there, right? So they're two completely different things. Like I may not like that product because of the fees, but like I don't think that they're outright committing a massive fraud where they're stealing your money. Right.
Well, the difference with MCA is also they're set up to help wealthy people build their wealth correctly with all the documentation. Turnkey. It's not for someone that goes to a gas station to fill up a pump. They want to actually have everything done correctly.
This thing makes sense. Okay. There's actual fucking accountants. There's actual,
CPAs, lawyers, the whole.
And you're paying overs for that. That's why they have to charge you so much money. Right, is because that stuff does cost money, right? So for it to be affordable, for them to get for it to make sense to them, they have to charge you basically too much, right? But that makes sense to me. Like that doesn't insult my logic in terms of like this thing is probably what they say it is. Yes, I'm pretty confident it is, and if it isn't, then they're going to jail, right? Because those people have proper business addresses, they've got licenses with the government, so they're looking at going to jail if they misrepresent what they're asking there. Whereas this chick doing this thing, you know, you have absolutely no recourse. And she's and also like what she says doesn't make any sense. Okay, the kinetics of this thing makes sense. Such structures exist. Grayscale is a good example of one, right? It's got, you know, billions of dollars of Bitcoin in it, right? It charges tons of fees, right? You know, so it's like, it's not, you don't need to take a massive leap of faith to believe that something similar could be built like that for Hex, right? And would be, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. Like,
Well, that's
why is it
that's
so
the Hex
obvious?
Investment Trust. Well, that's the Hex Investment Trust, not to be confused with MCA. MCA is going to get your crits, your DApps, all the rest of that. So you're battle hardened with multi tiers of trust. That way, they can't usurp your assets, they can't sue you, and you're buttoned and tucked with. You have CPAs, attorneys, all the rest of that. So that is your wealth investment strategist for all of everything. And it also encompasses, again, a DApp. If you hold your liquidity in a DApp for X amount of years, it's bulletproof. It can't be taken away from you. It can be passed on through a crit. That is not the investment trust. Hex Investment Trust, and I fuck this up all the time when I'm on Talk to the Boys. And the investment trust is
it's the same people promoting it, I think, is why it's confusing. But
yeah, but I mean, if smart people do smart things, you know, I would assume you even say that you're not a coder, but clearly you're on the investment side of things, that you could speak articulately like Wales, because Wales helped them do that because he understands the finance part of the finance side. And I get it.
Wales does not. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I don't like to get. I try to avoid spitting masters, my friend. You know what I mean?
I don't want to be mean, but yeah, no, that guy does not know what he's talking about. And yeah, it's like very clear. Like, hey Hamish, you know, like, you know, walk me through an income statement. Can you do that? Tell what's an income statement, Hamish? Can you do it?
Well, that's why I actually like you, Buck. It's because you can actually come with facts, articulately describe, and be like, "Let's play."
But
you know what I mean?
Let Hamish answer the question. Hamish, what's an income statement? You said you're an accountant. Tell us what an income statement is.
Well, it shows like an entity's like income, revenue, less expenses, and things like that, and net income, gross income.
Yeah, and where do your expenses go in your
A balance sheet is a financial statement which takes a snapshot of your business at a certain point in time.
Yeah, and how's that different from a cash flow statement?
Equity, because your cash flow is cash. You don't have accrued income and things like that, and you can overstate your accounts receivable by making up debtors that don't exist. So your cash flow is your cash that you need now to run the business. If you don't have cash, there's no oxygen to pay your expenses.
Right. So,
like that, you're gearing ratios and things like that. And otherwise, you can have a lot of accounts receivable. But yeah.
If I've got a business deal where someone's going to pay me, you know, $100,000 every month, you know, for the next few years, how should I deal with that in my accounting? How should I treat that future money that I'm going to earn?
Well, as an asset, as a debtor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There you go, guys. So I'm reasonably certain.
And then accrued your income, and then you've got like an inventory debtor turnover, like things like that, and timing.
So I'm reasonably certain Hamish has an accounting background, but just based on just reasonably certain.
Reasonably certain, because you can answer something articulately.
He didn't fail the test miserably. Okay, like just so we understand. Like, okay. Now go try to talk to this chick, like about something that she claims to be an expert in that you know well.
I'm sorry. The disrespect is just unbelievable because she's a woman. She's not a chick. She's a grown woman.
No, I mean, if she was a guy, I would say this dude, like whatever.
Ooh, straw man.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care that she's a woman. I didn't like her response to me, personally. But like, I don't know. I don't know where I know Buck is like, you know, finance a lot. and I like this is more closer to your area, you and Amish's area of expertise. Like, and I do think that some of her answers were kind of generic, and like people are like, "Oh, dude, how could you be mean to her?" It's like, bitch, I wasn't being mean to her. I asked a straightforward question. She was mean to me. But
she's reasonably polite, which is probably the nicest thing I'll say about her. But you know, like you have to just like, come on, guys, this is crypto. This is full of scams. You need to vet things and just ask yourself if they make sense. I do this and I never get rug pulled, ever. Never get rug pulled because I just, does this thing make sense? You know, like it doesn't make any fucking sense. Right. And yeah, like, and you see what happens when I make this point and no one has a good argument. Someone goes, "Oh, you're being disrespectful because she's a woman." It's like, what does that have, like, even if that were true, which it isn't, but like, what does that have to do with what I just said? Like, go back and look at what I just said, and that's what matters. Okay, what matters is, does this thing make sense? Is it a scam? Yes, it's a fucking scam, and you guys should not fall for these things. And this happens once a month. I go, this thing's a scam, and then boop, it's a scam. You know, and it's funny how you guys still talk shit about me. And I walk into these rooms and you guys are going, "Oh, Buck is mean. He's mean to the girl. I don't like it when he's mean to the girl." It's like, I'm gonna be mean to anybody. Well, not even mean. I'm gonna be upfront, because actually I wasn't mean to her. I was very polite to her. She was polite back.
I wasn't mean to her either, and she snapped at me. I was like, "Bro, like what?" I asked a straightforward question. What makes you different? And then she says, "Oh, I like you. You're just afraid of me because I'm a strong, independent woman." And I was like, I was trying to be the middle. I was the referee there and getting yelled at.
That's what you say when you know your argument sucks and you want to just make the other person look like a bad person, right? Because you're in a corner, right? You play victim. You go, "Oh, he's being the mean aggressor," right? That's what that tactic is, and it works on dumbasses. It doesn't work on people that don't lose their money. You know, so ask yourself, which type of person do you want to be? Do you want to be the dumbass who gets their money stolen, or the fucking smart person that sees through bullshit and avoids getting scammed? Right? Like, it doesn't matter if you like me or not. Like, I think my path is a better path, you know, for you guys. Just, you know, does it make sense? You know,
I find some of the like arguments like, "Oh, like Indian tribe, like, and then you can like avoid taxes or like pay less." It's not avoiding, it's paying less taxes because of those things. But like, it's not DeFi. Like, it's like an entry point to DeFi.
No.
But like, you know, is this a good actor, someone we can trust?
She could tell us that she has a special wormhole that she's opened up using a dark matter machine, and that wormhole allows you to sucks away all of your tax liabilities. Okay, it would effectively be the same thing, right? Because I can't believe, based on talking to her, that she is actually serious and actually knows what she's talking about, and that this thing is real. Okay, whatever story she's spitting to you guys is so obviously like preposterous and wrong that you don't even have to fucking worry about the mechanics, as you say, because it's obvious, like it's a fiction anyway. Like, if she said she had magical powers, I'd be like, okay, well, that's about as believable as your story, right? Like, okay, like, and the fact that she has no ability to articulate
you can
she claims to be an expert in.
You can write off all your debt, but you're going to have to go bankrupt in a court. And she didn't even understand like bankruptcy or no asset procedures. Like, you can't just wipe off your student loans because you join like a tribe. It's like, yeah.
Believe me, I know. I know. Believe me, I know better than most. I have $250,000 in student loan debt, and I paid $1,500 a month, which is just interest. And who's going to throw an extra $50 at a $250,000 debt to pay out principal? It's the real American Ponzi. But I mean, I've never seen anyone say that you hate on them, Buck. Like, you literally speak truth to power with facts, and you say, "Come argue and banter." I understand facts and can articulate things. And if you can, then we can move faster. Otherwise, we're sitting in this fucking like speed out zone where you can't get your car out of drive, and I can fucking float gears. right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never seen you be rude. You're just crass to points because points and facts actually matter.
Well, and also like we have to be parsimonious with our time too, right? We don't want to waste our time on things. All right. This thing should be an obvious scam. We shouldn't even be talking about it. You guys should have all figured it out. I'm actually disappointed that you guys are even fucking still thinking about it as a potential real useful thing. Like honestly, like it's disappointing to
So
me.
this is what I'll say is I'm newer to crypto. Like I know a bit about business and finances and stuff like that, but not to the level of crypto. So MCA was something that I've been investigating since, it first came out. And then I had heard this and learned a little bit about Pulse Pay. But I mean, really for someone new into crypto, I go, God, where do I go? How do I really vet all of these things? I could do it myself.
I kind of take the notion like where like I told
well hold on Mike one second. Chrissy, just so you know, MCA is vastly different than a fiat on-ramp and off-ramp. MCA sets up your crits, your trusts, your dApps, your retirement strategy, and helps you understand and navigate your retirement crypto plan, not just in and out or fiat inbound and offbound. Pulse Pay should be correlated to what OK Coast is doing, which is tippity top smart motherfucking people.
Not even.
Like I put
not even. They're like Coast is not a scam.
No. I'm saying Coast is the real onboard and offboard. Like Coast and you, Buck. Coast and you are the two people out of the people that when you guys speak, I listen because you're smart, articulate, and actually
what they're doing is logical. It makes sense. We need that, right? Such things already exist in other currencies. Like it's just logical, right? And they've been here for 6 months. They haven't asked for any money, right? That's
actually the smartest thing. It's like fiat. I missed the boat. I was busy doing other things, so I didn't get in. So I got in a bit for famous. But what I like what you did about fiat. That was my first tip of the hat to you, sir. You're just like, I got enough. We're done. Bye. You missed it. Bye. And what I like about what Coast did is that they're like, we did this ourselves, and we're SEC regulating it from Australia. Smart. Yeah. So there's a difference.
I feel stupid now. You guys are making me feel even like retarded. Like you're like
good. That's good, man.
Be the stupid person in the room,
I'm not
sir.
saying Buck's 100% on everything, guys, but when it seems like when it comes to a lot of him and Hamish, when it comes to like a lot of financial shit, they have input that I can't research.
Okay. It's
I don't care that she's a woman and she's friendly. That doesn't mean anything.
It's not too hard to understand, and that's why you learn your own crypto, and it is part of finance, accountancy, and stuff, and you learn stuff. But you can learn straight away that what they're saying is wrong. They were saying that they are setting up over-the-counter desks with a Bank of America, and that they're going to earn 60k with the volume on Pulse. So where's your clients coming from? Where's your liquidity coming from? Where's the volume?
I feel like a lot of her answers were just like, you fill out the UCC form this, and then she gives you a whole bunch of jargon, and it put me to sleep. I literally passed out halfway through.
But passing out isn't really the problem. So, like, for example, the whole Zen nonsense. I use that as a free fucking simulation for me because that's what I do for a living is build simulations of games, which I have to grind to do it to see what happens. Go, little bitches, do what I say. So now I've got a use case of proof of gas. I can then correlate proof of gas to who are airdropped a token from Pulse Doge and all the rest of that silly nonsense. And I can actually run, if I wanted to use Nansen AI, a cross analysis between the two. Now, for me, that's valuable info. So I talk to anyone. But at the end of the day, Coast's beautiful fucking metric is burn in, burn out, fiat in, fiat out. It can never do anything but its programmable wit on how it works, which is actually real fucking good design. And within regulatory senses, they know what they're talking about. Both Stoic and Coast are whip as fuck as they speak, same as Buck. And so when you listen to them, you know, you could ask them anything. And then I'm sure Buck will say, I'll love to banter about everything. Just please make sure that you bring your homework to work if we're going to banter. Otherwise, you're wasting my time. Is that correct?
That's sort of true. I'd say. I mean, I end up wasting a lot of time anyway. But I just want to speak to Christy because she asked kind of some advice for somebody new to crypto. I would say go very slow, Christy. Like honestly, like don't. There is expertise that you get through time. A lot of people want to think that they know everything right off the bat, but I've been a professional investor for 20 years, and that helps a lot. And one thing that I've learned is to say no a lot. Like I haven't sacked for anybody's projects. I barely sacked for Richard's, right? Because they didn't satisfy uh, my curiosity is something that and the risk involved didn't make sense to me, right?
I haven't seen a reason why I should sack with them
Well,
yet.
I think.
They haven't given.
So yeah, be very skeptical. Be very skeptical. And the MCA isn't for someone necessarily like yourself who's just getting started. I think what they're trying to do is provide sort of a wealth management solution to kind of newly wealthy hexagons. That was sort of the idea. So when you're a wealthy person, you need to have a financial advisor, right? And they're trying to create financial advisors for hexagon crypto people effectively in their business. These things could be useful. I'm not sure those are the guys I would necessarily do it through. You could, but I would say you'd want to talk to a whole bunch of different types of people in that space. But once again, that's for somebody who's already pretty wealthy, in my opinion, right? So if you're just getting started,
Right.
you need to learn to just manage your own money, be very careful, start small, do all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with, to be honest, you don't need to overthink crypto too much. Right now Ethereum is pretty cheap, right? You could just go buy Ethereum or probably any major token and just hold it for 5 years and you'll be pretty happy 5 years from now, I bet, right? You can buy Hex, you can buy ETH, you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Matic, you can buy any of these things, and you should probably buy a bunch of all of them, to be honest.
Well, that's what my concern. We've been in since January of last year, so of course, like my instinct coming in, I think that's when MCA came in, because my instinct was, okay, I know what we're going to do. I know what we're going to invest. This is what we have. This is what we're going to hold. I know this will be worth something. Like I do. Maybe I'm wrong, but most likely, but I need to have it set up. I have children. I need to make sure we are good to go financially. Like now when I do a swap or anything, I'm going, oh crud, this is could potentially be, oh God, I can't even think of the word, capital gains. I'm always thinking of that now. If I invest in here and I stake for this long, like am I doing a long or a short capital gains? Everything is something. So I just want to make sure that we're protected and they're protected for the future. So that's where we are, is making sure we make the right decision on choosing who takes care of the assets of everything that we have invested in, that we can trust.
Christy, are you wealthy?
Am I wealthy? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Am I wealthy in crypto? Not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. If
The reason I ask, okay, is it's like, it sounds like a dumb question, but it's not. Is because it's like, if you're just getting started in crypto, to be honest, you don't need to worry about your long-term capital gains and your short-term capital gains on your, small Uniswap swaps, right? Nobody is looking at this, right? Okay. If you are super wealthy, then you can start to worry about stuff like that, right? Because then they're gonna look into it. Okay, right? That's the reality, right? So, if you're swapping millions of dollars, or hundreds of thousands of dollars on Uniswap, and then bringing it back to a CEX, there's a potential that someone could look at that down the line and go, well, you didn't pay taxes here, right? But if you're just an average American, you don't need to worry about shit like that for $100, $50. Like it's just the way it is, right?
We're just keeping track
They also,
with, like,
they also don't have the.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Chris.
Just keeping track personally with like Coinly and stuff like that, or some type of software, or however I do it, QuickBooks, on what we're doing for now until it's like, $1 million swaps here and there would be what you would say.
Well, the thing is that they don't
Yeah,
have the bandwidth. They don't have the bandwidth to
they don't.
track it. They don't have the bandwidth to deal with. And let's realize, if you deal with the IRS, you're dealing with faxes or snail mail. Where are they ORCing, fucking scanning everything in? When are they going to be able to? Are they using Nansen AI across their entire ecosystem of platform to be able to cross-web a spatial idea of what you're actually doing? Technically, when you voluntarily give your information, you're giving them your information. Just don't do nothing stupid. And like what Buck was saying, at the end of the day, if you're a big fish, then you employ people to make sure that your fish is taken care of. If you're not,
Exactly.
don't worry about it. But don't connect your
Yep.
wallet to stupid shit. Don't chase fucking random shit that's going to happen, like the new poison attack, if you don't know how to copy and paste your fucking wallet address correctly. Or you can embed technically malicious code into CSV, which is technically a JPEG, which is also the same way as technically you could encode malicious code in an NFT. Be more adherent to what you connect and what you are doing on the internet, rather than worrying about how many transactions and what your gas price is and all the rest of that. Don't worry about it.
Also, don't go directly to CEXs if you can help it. KYC CEXs, the ones that take your name and your detail. I basically never use these things, right? And anybody smart, will basically be using DeFi to swap, right? But when you do need a CEX, use a non-KYC CEX. You can Google them. You don't want to leave your money on these things for long, but they work, right? By and large, right? And you can
Have you used
yeah.
Have you used Independent Reserve in Sydney as a fiat off ramp, or?
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But that's an example of somebody who's got all of your details, right? So, like when you do anything with them, they know everything about you, right? They give the government, they have your TFN, which for Americans is like effectively like your social security number in terms of identifying you, right? So basically, like you have no privacy, right? And if you're using Binance, it's now similar. It didn't used to be this way, right? So if you're doing trades on those things, then you pretty much have to pay tax on that, and everybody's going to be looking at that and whatnot. Now, if you're doing it in DeFi, it's really fucking hard for them to prove anything, right? So you have to be a really bad actor for them to come after you, right? Or really dumb, or tell them,
or a large fish that's really dumb. But yes,
yeah, correct. That's the kind of unwritten truth of this thing. But you can go look at something like Prime XBT. I don't know if they may rug pull someday, but like the bottom line is you can send one crypto to them, withdraw another crypto the same hour, right, from a different address, and the only people that are going to know where those transactions came from is them, right? And they don't have your name, they don't have your number, they don't know who you are, right? And there's always going to be something like this, right? So
what was that
but yeah,
mentioned? Prime what?
That's just an example of a non-KYC exchange, right? So there's a bunch of them. You Google non-KYC exchange, you can find a list of them, and you shouldn't trust these things implicitly, but to move money around, they're pretty effective, right?
Like MEXC is what you're talking. Like a MEXC, right?
I don't know which one. What'd she say? MEXC?
I think she was trying to know how the website was being spelled.
Yeah, it's MEXC. That one you can non KYC for a certain amount. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'm not trying to endorse, these things, specifically. I'm just explaining that this solves a problem, right? You could also use Tornado Cash, but now Tornado Cash makes you a target, right?
Well, you can also do the other way is wrap to run BTC, from there drip it into the Bitcoin ecosystem, then cash back out, and then move to another way. But the whole thing's just nonsense, and we're just living in that. We're living in that ecosystem where if you knew what Trumpet Windsock was, Netscape, and Windows 3.1, you could have accessed the internet.
Instead, we had to wait for everyone to use AOL. Now, let's fast forward 20 years. Who's smart people that still have an AOL email address or a Yahoo email address? Yeah, I know. When I see it, I just laugh. And I'm just like, oh my God. But, I mean, I know a way that theoretically there's a thing in Australia that you can wire Ethereum and they will wire your money to a trust. There are ways around it. But the one thing with MCA, or it's the quandrum of people ask, well, how do I cash out? Well, first worry about getting rich in crypto. Once you're rich, worry about cashing out. Don't do the interim. Make the smart decisions now to get wealthy and then handle those decisions in the future the appropriate way that you can handle it regardless if you want to pay or the fee or not paying the fee, whatever it is, you're not there yet. So handle that first thing, which is understanding the knowledge, the mechanics, the use case, and not getting screwed, and then put your time in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so the MCA thing, it's like, I'm trying to figure out how I can explain this to you guys. So, and whether or not MCA is good as a business, I don't know. But do wealth management, financial planning businesses exist? Yes. Are they useful to people? Yes. We know that for a fact, right? There's many such things, Fidelity, Charles Schwab for you Americans, and for the Australians, we've got AMP financial planning, et cetera. This is a very common thing. It's a business model that makes sense, right? It exists, and the government regulates it. And there are bad actors that do this, right? So you have to watch out for that. But it doesn't reek of a straight up scam when someone says, I'm creating a wealth management business that specializes in assisting people who happen to also be wealthy in crypto, right? That makes utter and complete sense to me, right?
But Buck, I think with MCA, you also have to be a semi-accredited investor even to get in, which means that you are already wealthy. Which means that, bar none, if you're literally trying to buy a $2 popsicle, this isn't the thing for you.
That's why it's called wealth management, not poverty management, right?
Correct, sir.
These guys don't work for people who have $50 to their name, right? Because they get paid by taking a small slice, usually 50 basis points of everything you have every year, right? So 50 basis points is 0.5%. Okay, just so you guys know. So in order for that to make sense, you need to be worth, let's say $5 million in the first place. Otherwise, they probably don't want to talk to you, right? Okay. So why would this gal, since I'm not allowed to call her a chick, or this person, want your $1,000, right? Because 50 basis points on $1,000 is not a lot of money, guys, right? It's not even minimum wage, right? The only way this scales is if she's keeping all of it. Honestly, it's the only way. It's the only way it works, right? Now, my point I was making is, so these wealth management platforms, we know they exist. We know rich people everywhere use them. Okay. Now, this thing that she's talking about, I've never really heard of such a vehicle. I've Googled what she's described, and I come up with a scam, right? But it just doesn't make any sense, right? So which one is it, guys? So just ask yourself that, right? It's like, does this thing make sense? And then, does it have an actual use case? And then it's like, are these the right people to actually implement it for me? Is the second question. Once you've established that,
correct,
this thing,
correct,
So I don't know anything about MCA, qualitatively. They might be the wrong people to work with, but I know that what they're doing is something that exists, and other people do it. And and I think in the future, Fidelity and lots of big names are going to be assisting people in this regard. It's going to be a big thing down the line.
Well, again, I can't speak to MCA since I'm not really part of them or anything. I'm good friends with Kinetics and Rory and all the rest of that stuff. But I will say that a lot of people that are in, again, your end of financial wealth planning and how all of that works have zero fucking idea how to handle crypto. Absolute zero. It's the same paradigm that I talk about. Someone that buys a game for $50 thinks that they're entitled to tell me how to do my job. Just like someone that buys a burrito for $8 can go walk to the back and yell at the cook like he's Gordon Ramsay. You bought your $8 burrito. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, I would like a service like this myself, and I use accountants like Hamish to, do stuff for me, set up trusts and things like that because I don't know everything there is to know about that, right?
What?
Yeah,
Why do you
might be
think they're
financial
doing it?
advice.
Is someone tricking them, or is what's the game in it? Like
Who's them, Hamish? Which guy?
and that Pulse Pay thing. So what's the story? Like,
well,
are there people being scammed or I can't quite work it out.
They're probably in on it, potentially, some of them, right? It's like all you need to do is, so you have this scam idea, and then you have some people who say, oh look, I know all the important people, and I have credibility in this community, so I can use that and burn it, on this opportunity, and I get a cut, right?
Hey,
You remember the Dodeca guy? Hold on one second. Do you remember the Dodeca guy, 369? That guy made a calculated decision. He even doxed himself, knowing he was creating, basically a reflection rug pull scam. But he justified it to himself because he's like, I can make $300,000 very quickly, right? He's a school teacher in I think Kansas City, right? That's like $300,000 is a ton of money to this guy. It takes him probably a decade to save that much money.
Yeah. Hey Buck, I'd like to just ask you a couple of questions here. I listened to everything you've said with a great deal of interest. I've talked to Cash at length myself. I'm a naive investor. I don't have the same depth to challenge her as you do. I found her very amiable and a likable person, and
agree on that.
I was on the fence. Now, here's what I've got to say: is that I call him our Socrates and Plato rolled into one executioner, has obviously invested a lot of time both working closely with Cash and also in the group itself. And I know Executioner to have his head screwed on, to be very, very cautious when it comes to this kind of stuff. Would you be prepared to come into this chat? I mean, Executioner is, he's kind of the guy that we all look up to for our alpha in this group. Would you be prepared to come into this group and have an open discussion with Executioner? Because obviously he's done a lot of research. I would like to know whether it's a scam or not. I was thinking of going into it personally. I have a great deal of respect for Executioner, and I would love to hear you guys just talking it out in public so that the community, are safe.
So before Buck answers, I want to stipulate that there's a difference between an open out scam or children behind the wheel. There are two different paradigms in that, regardless of how you feel one side of the fence. Sorry, Buck, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm happy to talk to the Executioner, and I tried to talk to this lady too, but she kept coming back to me. Well, you need to sign an NDA, otherwise I can't give you any of the details. And it was so I was like, well, can you give me a less detailed version? Just give me a high level thing. And she's like, I'll work on that, and that's where we left it.
Yeah, okay. Well, we obviously have a great deal of respect for Executioner, and he is involved in this project, and he's put his name to it. Just for the safety of the community, I mean, whether you have that chat with him behind the scenes or in public, I'm not sure.
I'm happy to look at things and once they have more information that they want to share to me, I'm happy to look at it. And it could be that they actually have some sort of bizarre structure thing that is probably still a terrible idea, but it's not an outright scam. But I'm pretty sure it's an outright scam. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I just think with respect to Executioner, because obviously there is the implication that you're saying that he's involved in a scam. And what I'd like is even if you talk to him and have an open conversation behind the scenes, I would really appreciate it if you could both come back and make statements in the group.
We can chat, but I don't know Executioner's involvement, what level he's involved in it, if he's just helping out or if he's a promoter of it. I don't know what his deal is. This thing's obviously not legitimate. Like it's a waste of it's a waste of
Well,
time, to be honest.
I mean, I like your crassness to cut the fucking edge. That's why I use the term "children behind the wheel," because I try to always be middle groundy. Because people that really know what they're doing, they can go into the sand with anyone else and actually talk. Like I can spitball Richard with game theory because why? I've been building fucking games 14 years. That is my job for a living professionally.
And there's a reason why I was able to do what I did with Fiat and Famous, despite being anonymous, despite, everything. It's because I'm able to basically show you the thing that we're doing. It makes sense to people. It makes sense to people with lots of money, right? And they're willing to partake in it because what I said makes sense. It wasn't hard. I didn't have to go persuading a bunch of idiots. Like I literally got it from, basically people that already knew me pretty well. In the Cantillon chat that I run, right? That's where most of it comes from.
On top of that, you already. The thing is that go ahead, sir.
I'm not challenging your integrity because I'm out of the.
Sure. I know. I'm not saying you were.
And I respect everything that you've said and I respect everything you've said in alerting us, and I'm glad you brought it to our attention. I just feel that, Executioner really needs to be here during this conversation. I think that one of the reasons, I know that he's had a death in the family and he might have taken time off, but I thought that one of the reasons he doesn't spend so much time here is he's actually putting a lot of work into helping Cash process forms and looking at the legitimacy of the project. And as I said, I'm someone who sits on the fence. I'm willing to learn. I bow down to you guys with that deeper knowledge, and I would really love it. And I'm sure everyone else in this chat at the moment would really like it if Executioner and yourself, could get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't even have to be me. It can be somebody else who, can ask decent questions. Like maybe Crypto Kool-Aid can do it, or somebody else. I'm a pretty busy guy. To the extent, if there's actual details they want to give me and publish in a website, I'll read that, no problem. But do I need to come into a chat in here and have Cash waste my time telling me a bunch of nonsense again for an hour? No, I don't need to do that. That's a waste of my time and your time.
No, I'm not asking.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm asking.
Yeah,
well, even
yeah, but the thing is that Executioner. But the thing is that Executioner and himself can do all the rest of it. The one thing I like about Buck, it was before I really even listened to him well, because I didn't really get in time for Fiat and all the rest of that. He had an inbound, outbound, closed sale done. We got our funding out. That shows the character of a particular person, regardless before they bring blood and sand to the gladiator arena, that says what they do, how they handle things. Same thing with Coast and Stoic. They didn't even take the money. They just built it themselves, and they still have the same vernacular and articulateness to understand the details as Buck does. So with Executioner, he's an old friend of the family. You know what I mean? I remember from way back in the day, from all of us in the beginning. And again, Jawa, I love the guy to death, but he tricked me into joining the damn thing to talk to the goddamn guy. And I said, I'm not joining any goddamn chats.
And Kool-Aid, I'll tell you, man, just because someone was here in the beginning doesn't mean they're a good person also.
It means I got it means I got lucky. So
we've had plenty of terrible people who are OGs. Plenty of them.
I mean, the fact that Trayvon is still in our system makes me you know what I mean? Because I again, student loan debt slave, if you know my story. I literally work around the clock. I work 18 to 36 hour days around the clock to not even pay my principal, just my interest. Now
there's only 24 hours in a day. But yeah.
No, sir, you are incorrect. There is as many hours till you sleep, and that gives you a time clock to when you need to get up and do the next day. There are 24 hours into what most people process, but you can do more or less.
I'll let you guys argue over that one.
Hey, Buck.
Before I go, I just want to point out my track record. Hold on one second. My track record here. I called Doggin the scam. It was a scam. I called Doggin 2.0 a scam. It was a scam. I called Dodeca a scam. Back when You know, Matty All In and David Federer were promoting it.
Oh God,
you know,
that's
well, I mean, like, I'm not trying to pick on them, but I'm just saying that it happened.
Peter's a good guy. I'll just say that.
And all sorts of people, when I did this with Dodeca, all sorts of people were like, Buck's a terrible person for saying this, you know, and David Federer said it was good, and you know, and I was right, you know, and I was right about Mike Alfred, I was right about P-Zen, I was right about Zen dumping. I never said Zen was a scam, I just said it's going to dump, and it did.
I mean, at least P-Zen, at least Comrade should have taken out the comments in his code the way he fucking forked safe mode. I mean, like, really.
Well, I mean, paid some like idiot to do it for him, right? You know, like
that's why Viper exists, sir. That's right, Viper exists, and that's why when I actually listen to you, I shut the fuck up and listen, because you actually employ and do good things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, in terms of what you said about Coast and myself, what should be painfully obvious to you guys that maybe many of you don't want to admit, because inherently a lot of you are going to be anti-elitist, but competence and education are actually very useful. Right? People that are smart and educated and have good track records generally don't want to scam you, right? Why? Because you do that, you get caught, your reputation's ruined. So, you know, the 20 years of education I got and, you know, the 20 years of working experience I got to build my reputation up is ruined. But you know who can scam you over and over again? Guys that don't have any of that shit, right?
Correct.
And it should be pretty obvious when you talk to somebody, generally speaking, you know, what education level they have, you know, what their IQ is likely to be, right? If it's, you know, above average, or, you know, are they at all articulate, right? It should be pretty obvious. And these sort of things are actually very useful, right? For, you know, separating yourself from a lot of the crap that's out there, right?
Hey,
The have-nots and the haves.
I've been listening for about 20 minutes. What project you guys talking about?
We're not speaking. Well, I mean, you can say whatever you want.
It doesn't even matter. I'm talking more generally open, like
globally.
Like
correct.
This is true of everything. But you know, like honestly, you know, like, it's true of everything. It's how not to get rug pulled. If you guys want to get rug pulled, do the opposite of what I'm saying right now.
It's a shiny object syndrome, and if you don't understand what arena you're playing in, don't go with blood and sand to be a gladiator. And that's, again, if you have someone that Coast or Stoic or Buck, or I mean, they're also the emblem of what Richard does and all the rest of that goddamn shit. They know what they're talking about. They can back it up with facts, and they actually can pass the hot potato. Throw to them for a banter, throw it back. Throw it then, throw it back. If they can't throw it back twice, what the fuck are you listening to? Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if I don't
getting
know
rug
the answer
pulled
to
for
some
your
technical
money,
question,
that's one thing. But getting rug pulled for your information, that's a completely different game. To Buck's point about blackmail and stuff.
Yeah, but we don't even know if that's what it is. Just remember, like, there's so many different paradigms being sniffed for data. Correct.
I didn't
know
it was KYC.
Data, it's like it's also potentially left with the bag, right? Because one of the ways you do these scams is you get a bunch of guys who basically become the fall guys, right? So you bring these guys in as your partner, right?
You mean Trevon James? Come on. You mean Trevon?
No, I don't mean that. No, I'm just talking average dudes in this community that you guys like.
Yeah, I know,
right?
I know.
You bring them in as your partner, so everybody goes, well, if you know this guy's in it, then you know maybe I should look at it, right? And then what you do is you take the money and run, and then you say this guy stole it, right? That's what's going to happen. And you know, I can't think of a more perfect patsy than someone like Jawa, right? He's a nice guy, but you know,
love the guy to death. Love the guy to death.
But he's the perfect patsy. He's the perfect patsy for this sort of thing, right? Because he'll believe anything. He did
hold Cardano, guys. Like that. Like Jawa held Cardano.
But that's irrelevant. Crypto Santa Claus is actually younger than me, and the fact that I didn't realize that he was older than me and younger than me, that's a thin thing. But I mean, even Buck humors Eric well, and I had to exit the chat just because I just can't deal with it. My brain hurts too much. I would rather chat with particular people closely, but Buck likes that type of stuff because it actually has a wedge of importance on how it is used. Just like a honeybee uses its stinger for one different thing, but then it dies if it uses it. There are particular use cases for those mechanics if you care about
I've got my
them.
own. I've got my own, selfish reasons for being close to Eric, right? Like I can just about them. Like just let me explain it, right? Like Eric is a known hex bearer, right? He's like the guy that does this, right? And everybody that likes to joke about hex follows him, right? I'm creating a platform for these people to short hex, right?
I know,
So,
I know.
like,
Sir, tip of the hat. Tip of the hat.
That's exactly
the
kind
board.
of person. That's exactly the kind of person I want to be close to, right?
I don't disagree with you. Again, Buck, I bend the knee. You actually understand exactly what you're fucking doing, and that's why, again, I messaged you the whole jobs as law for the deck.
And I do that, in the interest of the sackers, right? That's my job. I look at I need to onboard these people that are going to come use our platform. So,
well, on top of that, be like, put your money where the mouth is. It's the same thing that I told you about a person that buys a $50. You buy a $50 video game, and you're going to tell me how $100 million project. So when I worked for ZeniMax, we had 7 attorneys on retainer to deal with divorces. Somebody swallow their throat to be like, you have 7 attorneys on retainer to deal with divorces because doing your job sucks that much dick. Okay. So do you think I give a fuck when someone bought $50? No. I lost my marriage building this game. Shut the fuck up. But again, let them put their money where their mouth is. If they really want to talk shit, put it up, bitches. And make sure you put in this nice margin on that top.
And that's what's going to happen. So everybody who sacks for these things is going to be in their Twitter going, okay, you think this? Here's where you short it. Go do it now. Give us the transaction. Get all the glory, bro.
Well, the difference is that people that talk hex, it's going to be delicious because the thing is you can't short a t-shirt. You're shorting hex, which is your bus ticket to get on the t-shirt train. There's no way to get a t-shirt except if you're shadowing a derivative of a t-shirt like Hedron, except hex. That is your bus ticket on the t-shirt train. Its price goes up and down ad nauseum. And I said it before, you could have a $40 million Lamborghini. If it doesn't have gas, it doesn't have a battery, what's use is it besides going up and down in value? If the car can't go vroom vroom and you can't actually show your pee-pee for how big you are with vroom vroom, what's its use case? Liquid Hex is the only vessel to get on the T-share train. T-shares you can't short. Hex you can. It's the difference of people who understand mechanics versus not. No, again, tip of the hat, Buck, for what you're doing. You're doing exactly the correct way to handle this type of stuff.
Yeah, and the market agrees with me. That's why people that are pretty smart are giving us solid amounts of money to do what we're doing because it makes sense. On that note, gentlemen, I need to run. And lady, Christy.
Buck, let's get a chat one of these days. I would love to sit and get a one-on-one sometime off the decks. I prefer to actually talk off streams because it's better that way. But check out that slide I gave you about Jobs Law when you were talking about Apple.
I'll look for it on Twitter. Yeah.
All right. It's on Twitter. And you and Dylan are amazing. Keep doing what you're doing, Jugs.
Yeah, we'll be fine, guys. All right. And so watch out for scams, guys. Just ask yourself, does this thing make sense? Is it logical? Why are they asking me? These are good questions to always ask yourself, regardless of what it is. You can ask the same questions of me, right? All right, take care, guys.
I wish I had something I could say to you, Buck. Like, there's one thing a comedian said like one time. You ever like say something and then the words leave your mouth and you're like, no, go back in. Like, I wish I could. I wish I had anything that I knew that would counter you a little bit, but I'm interested.
You throw these spaces, dude. You throw these spaces that actually get me come from YouTube, where I tune in, to actually come into Telegram, which I fucking despise, to log into this thing every now and then, and I get to chit chat. So you do enough. Don't suffocate yourself.
Yeah.
Whipping yourself will never do anything. Just be smarter as you evolve as a smarter human.
One thing that I've learned in crypto, which isn't like this really here, there are cryptos where it's like, does it have a use case? or is this a Uniswap token where it's just duct taped on and it's just fucking useless? And
when did you get in? Were you in 17?
Yeah, like I remember hearing about Uniswap. I was like
No. I'm talking about, were you in 2017?
Yeah, like I think I bought like $1,000 of Bitcoin.
Okay,
or
so
something
you
at,
were
like,
not dealing
4,000 or
with
5,000.
you were not dealing with ICOs. You're not dealing with all the rest of that. So
I never did.
left my
I literally never did an ICO. I think I did one time. I was like, I wonder what happened if I put $100 in, and guess what? I got rug pulled.
Well, I mean, there's rug pulling, and there's also what I try to avoid calling anything a scam, because for me it's free simulations. Like even Zen, that I thought was stupid as fuck. And though I do like Jack, he seems like a nice guy, but it was also duct taped together fast. It did not address multiple different paradigms of multiple levels of mechanics, which is what my job is, especially coming from Arcane. But I left my bigwig game job to be an ICO influencer in 17, just because I knew understanding this was worth more metric value than not understanding it. Same reason why in 2012, Richard talks about his double video card thing. I was running fucking goddamn render farms. Like my computer now, or back then, fucking 12 years ago, is probably better than what people would have used now. And I still have 7 different iterations of different computers that I use now. So you just have to look at how the times evolve based on what your knowledge and usurping of utility evolves. You can learn a lot from the beginning of a gesture of a sketch, but being able to put it to shippable, which is why in game dev we call it ship it, it's good enough. We can fix it in post. Day 1 patch, off you go, pat it on the butt. Most people don't get that. They also don't understand their own finance. They don't understand their own fiat. They don't understand that Social Security is currently a scam if you live in America. Or your 401k probably won't be fucking worth jack and shit in the amount of time that you turn to 67. So understanding those paradigms is vastly important, even if you started with nil. Even if you didn't understand a goddamn thing. I mean, I said it way back when 3 years ago. We tell people not what to buy, we teach people why. And the why is understanding what things work and why they do. Whether that's Buck talking about fiscal finance that actually makes sense, regardless of fucking crypto. Would you want to go and banter with someone as a wealth management personality that couldn't answer those things? I mean, what do they do it in Mad Men when they're like Lucky Strikes? It's toasted. That's how you fucking copies for closers sell that deal. Is because you have to understand what you are actually doing. But don't sell yourself short, Mike. I mean, I hop in this chat because every now and then I see it going and I hop in. You do well. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in here to talk.
No, I appreciate that. Like it, like I want to find that, like what? How do I want to say it? Like,
well, let's roll back
between everything's a scam until it's not, and it's just always such a fine line.
Again, I don't disagree with one goddamn thing that Buck said, but I did say instead of calling something a scam, it was children behind the wheel.
True.
Again, listen to any other motherfucker that hasn't had to have a company that had 7 attorneys on retainer to deal with your divorce and your damned children to make a game that someone buys it for $50 and they have a fucking opinion. Fuck their opinion. Go get divorced from your wife because you wanted to actually play a game. Oh, that's right, you're a pleb. Build a game is a completely different paradigm. I could tell you horror stories, but that's the one thing is I never share where I currently work. That is my only OPSEC. You can figure out what I did. It's not hard to find me. I'm a professional at what I do in my industry. However, Understanding that, I mean, shit, Riot Games got locked up for $14 million from FTX. Shit. I know fucking 60 people that work over there. Why the fuck did someone not tell those children they don't know what the fuck they were doing? Even on the game dev side, they don't know what fucking crypto is, and they want to believe some hoity-toity little air quote mixed scam that the other people up top, because they're a big fish, know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't. Augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed and blended reality, that is my bed. That is what I deal with for a living, and that's what I've been dealing with for the last 14 years. So I know it intrinsically. But it doesn't mean the people that even do that understand crypto. The people that understand crypto how to understand that. Very, very, very important fundamental reality is that just because you understand one facet of life doesn't mean you understand all facets of life. Which is, I find it funny that people think that Buck fucking punks on people. He just gives you free reign to say, do you know what you're talking about? That's why I fucking like the guy.
And if someone's completely bullshitting you, dude, or like I've gotten heated and like, you know, I was just like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. You retarded. And like and be like, oh, is that the reason why you're wrong here or something? And it's like, well, no, it's just like, you know, how you express things.
I mean, wrong as in what? People that didn't understand how a wrapped t-shirt has a value for a long, long, long time. And there are many people that were air quote-ish influencers, won't name the biggest name, that didn't understand how it worked till suddenly way down the road, as Buck said, they said that Dodeca was actually a thing, but didn't realize how the mechanics of wrapping a t-shirt is fundamental design. But they also don't think for themselves, nor do they understand the things for themselves. Building on top of existing ecosystems is good. It's rubber band theory. Now you can have accordion game theory, which is where you take multiple rubber bands and you stack them to be able to push things harder and faster. Very important to understand the difference. But like, it doesn't matter if you do or you don't. Just don't do stupid shit. Like, Chrissy, if you're still here, the most important thing isn't worrying about where your chimera vessel is. Don't fucking connect your wallet to silly shit. Don't chase fucking random airdrops, especially with the daddy wallets. Just be careful of what you're doing. You understand that paradigm, you're ahead a hell of a lot more than most. Because in Telegram, if I see a friend that logs in that is not a crypto person, I'm like, the fuck you doing in crypto world? I don't even tell them who I am. I just fuck with them. And I'm like, you know who I am eventually. And I'm like, don't trust anyone, even me. Because anyone here can pretend to be anyone. And they all can have, air quote, the best intentions, but not follow through. Those that follow through do it deliberately and actually can bring the blood and sand of the Coliseum when they talk. Otherwise, what the fuck is the point? Like, if you can't actually argue yourself out, I don't care if I'm learning. Don't say shit that you don't know, and don't lead people to the top of the fucking wall for the lemmings to fall off and everyone die. Just like the dodo bird, he will be extinct. Not my problem, though. But ideally, that's what we should. And those of us that have been around for a while are trying to shadow and help to do that. But like, again, Buck comes in and slays for the exact reason why I actually really enjoy listening to Buck, is because he has all of the pieces for his alphabet. Same thing with Alex and Hedron, same thing with Coast and Stoic. They have all the alphabet to be able to barter and actually understand and show not just their message, but why other things are topsy-turvy. It's very important to understand those things.
Right. Well, and luckily, like, I'm not that stupid. I came from a background where SEO and stuff like that, so digital marketing, and you can tell some of these influencers and the narrative that they're trying to push, and so you have to look through and see what they're really saying. But you know what? My question to you: what do you think of this? To bring up another one, commuse. What's your thought process on that?
It doesn't have fucking bindable legs. So this is Chrissy, right? By the way, my screen's not on, so I can't see it.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So you already again bowed the knee and said that you are wealthy, but not crypto wealthy. So that means you have a good head on your shoulders. You've been fiscally and financially responsible in your real world. It's just this is magic internet land where if you don't understand what a BBS is back in the day, or a fucking dial-up bod is back in the day, or fuck, maybe you could have been a phone freaker and knew how to fucking hack payphones. You did well enough that now you realize that this is theoretically the future, so you're here now. Is that correct?
Somewhat, but
okay,
I don't know. Sure. I'm here. Let's put it that way.
Honestly, here's the thing. Eric Thomas will say, when you want to succeed as much as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. I say that 90% about being successful is about showing up. As long as you show up and learn, knowledge is free. In fact, knowledge is actually the most expensive token in the world, period. So you hear all of these air quote influencers, which I call children, say the word game theory. What is game theory to you?
To me?
Sure, there is no wrong answer.
Theory that they're referring would be the tokenomics of the token.
Okay, and what is tokenomics?
It's the structure of how it works.
So that would be what's called mechanics, right?
Right.
Okay. So real game theory is a little more than just mechanics. Real game theory is going to be parenthesis mechanics or rules and regulations divided by systemic design or the board, end parenthesis times. So that mathematical equation times the consensus, which would be your peers or your enemies or your children or anything that you are playing the game against. Because you did use the word game, so you probably should have a player and a player, because otherwise, why are you using my goddamn appropriated term? So the easiest way to visualize game theory, air quote, the real mathematical version is I have a chess board and I have chess pieces. Those chess pieces are the tokenomics, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I take the chess pieces, not the chess board, which is also a checkerboard, and I replace those chess pieces.
Technically, wouldn't the chess pieces? The chess pieces would be the players. The board is the actual tokenomics.
No. Your other opponent that plays against you is the social consensus. That's why white moves first. The pieces have rules and regulations. Little horsey moves up into the L. Little castle can go forward or right. Little pawn can just go corner to corner, right? Now, what's the difference between a pawn and let's wipe the board to a whole bunch of checkers? What's the difference?
Anyone else can chime in because I don't know chess.
No, you're good, love. It's not an embarrassment thing. I'm just explaining simple, real. Again, all these influencers use the word game theory, and I vomit it in my mouth because I run systemic design on billion-dollar IPs. This is my job, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, buck tip of the hat to him. He understands fiscal and financial reservoirs of information. I do mechanics in game design, not game theory, game design, and systemic design. So a checker and a pawn move in the same way. They just hop to the side and hop to the forward. But at the very end, a checker, since they don't have any other teammates, it's just checkers. If they get to the end, they get a little hat, which is called king me, and then they come backwards. But they still are playing to the rules and regulations of the board or the design. So the mechanics, which is a checker and a pawn, move kind of in tandem, but we have added pieces like a rook or a knight or a bishop or a king or a queen or all these other added cards or use cases, right? But they're still moving on the same board, the same systemic design. Now let's just say we take a checker and we wipe the board and turn a checker into backgammon. What happens with backgammon? The checker is still going ahead forward, but then it knocks its head against the wall or the corner of the board, and it turns hard right. So instead of in checkers, when it gets king, then you go backwards. In backgammon, it goes hard right and hops its way around the board. Social consensus, or how someone can use you, whether that's from a scam point of view or a beneficial point of view, is how you understand the board, the mechanics, and the game that you are playing. Influencers that say game theory have never made a fucking game in their life, more or less $1 billion game, more or less have had to deal with working for a company that has 7 attorneys to manage your divorces. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have continued the game. It's too much risk for them. But real people that actually do this is our life. This is our gladiator. This is our blood and sand. So I wouldn't worry so much about what you don't know. It's worry about what you are learning. Remember, knowledge is the most expensive token in the world. And it's also the hardest to get. And theoretically, if you're in the right place, it's almost always for free. Because people, like Buck was saying earlier, be the stupid person in the room. You always want to be the stupid person in the room. Because that's where you fucking learn, right? It's not how you have to decide.
Hey, Crypto, I love listening to you, but I don't know whether you remember the original question that Kirsty asked, which was about your opinion about communists, and maybe you could, as the tokenomics sort of mechanics expert, you could help us understand it, because I have no friggin' idea. I listened to the whole of the Crypto Coffee video, and I was
I listened to
completely.
I listened to Matt's stuff. It's odd, is what they're doing. It's odd. It is interesting that they're binding back onto a T-share with a particular metric weight, which actually has a weighted system. That's actually very, very good. That's actually very, very good, because they've learned a little bit. Have I looked at it more than listening to Matt's Crypto Coffee's fucking stream? No. Have I claimed on any of it? No. Do I know some people that made out really, really big and made that particular wick? Yes, I know the person who made that exact wick. I am very busy at times that I don't have time to really look into it. But what I will say right now, without looking at it, it seems to be safe from a contract point of view. It seems to have an interest on what it will do. But let me ask you the same counter, both Chrissy and who's the person that was just talking? Sorry, I don't have anything up. I'm sitting in the hot tub, so I'm not looking at my phone. Who was just talking?
DJ.
Okay. So what was weight before Coast said that they were doing a fiat on and off ramp?
Yeah, I just thought it was some, I just thought almost like a meme. Just we're waiting, and we'll just throw this in the mix. I sold it immediately and bought. I sold it immediately and bought some Hedron.
Good. Hedron is the goat of the T-share. T-share will always win. Anyone that just talks hex without referencing the T-share is a ludicrous idiot that forgot the face of the father if you reference Dark Tower. Hex is the only job is to buy T-shares. It is its job to be your custodian or bus ticket guy or your train ticket puncher to get on the T-share train. That's all Hex is. And it's beautifully done. That's fantastic architecture, fantastic systemic design. Now, weight, I was looking at it, I'm like, it's kind of interesting. But weight was basically OK Coast and Stoic's burlesque dance, their Patsy Titty show,
before they actually came out with what they were doing with the fiat on and off ramp. It's probably their fiat on and off ramp is incredibly delicious from mechanical design, utility, smarts, and what they are doing across the large big pond because they're handling their legalities from Australia with the SEC. The smart's fuck. But Wait essentially is going to be air quote, I don't know exactly what they're doing with it, but their discount or their fee burning token for their fiat on and off ramp. But they didn't share it at the beginning. They shared exactly what they were fucking doing with Wait, which is just wait, see what happens. But then you have their on and off ramp, which is dope. And the second I saw both of those together, I'm like, oh, it was your shiny little dance as the bird that hits their mates and does all the random things to say, we actually know what we're doing long before we're doing this, and we're showing you exactly what it can do. So what I saw from Kungalinus, it's the worst name in the fucking world. It's the worst name in the world. But there's two mechanics that actually work. A, you have to be staking more than 180 days to be accessible. Then you need a particular amount of time frame to unstake. The weighted bonded average between those two, that's interesting. But it also, from time of start date, from token launch, weighs against you if you're an OG. That means new stakes get more weighted value as it's created within, let's call it a paradigm or an ecosystem or a hemisphere of when this particular token gets done. It's very similar to what Pulse Doge did with waiting people in the middle of the realm to have it. That was literally their only saving grace. Fantastic simulation for me, but that is the one thing that they did well. That. So I do not know what the Kungalinus, communist, the whatever token is, but it does have some interesting mechanics. I just don't know what they are doing with it to bind into the future. Whereas, like, let's just take Buck. You can short Hex, bring your money where your mouth is, and prove yourself wrong. Please use the leverage. You understand what this is. You're an influencer. You share your Bybit and all the rest of that. Go ahead, prove yourself wrong. I don't know what they're binding against to make its next level up work. But it's not like it's horrible. I just don't know what their end game is, because it's almost like they've gotten two cards at their poker game, but they don't know where the cards are. Am I shitting on it? No. And if it's been vetted by people that can read the code, do it. I like I said, I happen to know the guy that happened to make that firework green candle up there, and he reads code. But I assure you, he knows that it is clean and green. So yeah, claim it. But do I know what they're doing with it long term? I don't know.
So you have
the devs. Sorry, the dev said something about having the burn mechanism in the code that others could build on. So it's kind of like one of those things. Are you doing something? It's almost like Wait, like and even Hedron. We didn't know Icosa was going to come. So are they testing?
I actually could have told you that. I was that it needed a caboose. I don't know if you ever heard my older streams when Hedron came out. I said it needed a 2-year no touchy to shadow what a T-share did, unless it had an additional burn mechanism. And that's what Icosa was, secondary burn mechanism. But please go ahead, Chrissy.
I was just saying that. I mean, because Icosa was actually what Alex said. He built that before he actually did Hedron. So we already had it in the works. We didn't know. And I didn't know what you just said about Wait being the currency or the burn mechanism, because I did hear, what is it, Stoic, say something about Tide was abandoned. And if you look on the website, it's like a question mark. So is it that potentially going to be a part of their process You know,
Again, I cannot speak for them. I'm telling you that Wait was their burlesque show to show what they could do before they came out with the Fiat on and off ramp. And their Fiat on and off ramp, you know what it didn't do? Except a dime of anyone's fucking money. And Stoic and Coast are smart as fuck. Stoic and Coast and Buck and Alex Hedron are probably the only people I actually really want to fucking be in the room with. Why? Because now I'm stupid. I prefer to be the stupid person in the room. And they actually know what they're doing to the paradigm that I understand, that I would love to hear more. I have no idea what they're doing with Wait. Possibly what I said is amicable, but again, I am not speaking for them. I'm just saying that I didn't realize Wait was them till I was listening to either Stoic or Coast. I think it was on Coffee Stream. And it was late. I was doing laundry. I was cleaning the house. And I was listening to Matt. And I'm like, who the fuck is this talking? And I look, and it's Coast. And I'm like, who the fuck is this Coast guy? And he was talking about his Fiat on ramp and off ramp. I'm like, this shit is fucking smart as shit. And then from there, I looked at Wait, and I'm like, I see what you did. I see what you did. Wait is your teaser to show people who you are before you do the real thing. But they also don't talk about what they are, what they're doing. They have a third mixing thing that they're doing. You know why? Because they care about SEC regulations, because they're smart goddamn motherfuckers. And again, I am not speaking for them. I'm telling you that I was doing laundry in a different room, and I listened to Matt talk to fucking to Coast, and I came back in, I'd be like, hold on, I need to stop what I'm doing. Because this guy knows a lot of stuff, and it's enough stuff that I need to take a time out from what I'm doing to actually absorb and watch this whole thing instead of watch it as a fractured mind map. So, could this, God, I really wish they would have changed the goddamn name, but I think it may be Latin for something. Again, I don't have time to look into it yet. But if you could shatter and mirror the burn rate and the utility of said token for system, it could be gleaned as a referee for other token distributions. Yes, that is exactly how you can handle that.
Well, I don't know whether I did the right thing, but you have a choice when you go on the site to do 25% stake, 50, 75, or 100. And I intuitively went for the 100, but I have no idea what I did. So I think I locked up my my coins for probably a long time, because I'm an OG with long hex stakes.
Sure. But the thing is that I don't know what the lock mechanism is, but like I said, forever and a day, like I said at the very, very, very first Hex convention online that I built the background for, treat your wallet like a character. And regardless of what character you do, 2 years no touchy is smart, because you deal with 4 or 6 year epochs. So if you're dealing with 2 year systems, then you fit into 2 or 3 dividends of those epochs, regardless of the down or the up. And if you don't give a fuck, you don't give a fuck. But it is also free claim. So does it really matter? No, it does not. The question is how it binds onto himself and builds, right? Though I will say about what the that particular token is doing is the fact that it hedges against newer stakes is good. That's better mechanics than what we have seen before, because you want to have multiple different tiers of mechanics that bind against each other. If everything's a clone of a clone of a clone, you're not getting anything new besides a new clown of a clown of a clown. If you have to bind against multiple different tertiary ideals to build something more fundamental than what we call in game dev is fail fast. You have to fucking fail fast. You need to kill your babies, and if it sucks, fucking kill it and do it over again and fail fast. Instead, most people want to hold their chips to their heart because they're too scared of not having something at the end of the day. Which is not the ideal way to handle that shit.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I got penalised because I've got very old stakes, but I recognise in the mechanics that what you've got is you've got an incentive for new people not to feel that the OGs are going to kind of come in and overpower the system. So you're giving them an incentive to actually stake.
Correct. Same thing as PP did with Mad Hexray, or not Hexray, Hexy Bastard did. That's what PP did. Very interesting dynamic. See, at the end of the day, here's the thing. If you're trying to take your bingo chart on where you were successful or not successful, instead of studying what people are doing and what they're doing right and why it works, you're actually better off. Even if you didn't have a dime into it. Granted, you probably should. But if you were studying that, you'd be better off than the 99999 on a double of idiots that don't even understand how the T-share train works, but yet they're only looking at the hex price. But if Godwell hammers this 45-day stake and unstake, do you realize what that's going to do to the T-share rate? Because he also does not need your fucking money. Oh, I'm a billionaire. Do I really care? No, he's fucking pressing the nitrous button over and over again to accelerate the system. Just like Icosa does to accelerate the Hedron system. But if you take Hedron, inherently of itself, it is a chateau of a T-share. It is a chateau of a T-share. That means it needs 2 years from inception to echo to a T-share, and then it has its own paradigms to overcome. Icosa is an eater, a Pac-Man eater that allows the caboose to accelerate faster. It's the nitrous button that the God Whale is technically pressing right now. If he does 45 stay rolling goddamn stakes, vastly interesting. Vastly interesting.
So what we want to see is him rolling over every 45. Sorry, Christy. So what we want to see is Godwell rolling over every 45.
Yeah, that's going to punch your T-share right to the roof. So if you don't have your T-shares, it's going to cost you a hell of a lot more hex than no. And then, Chrissy, what was your question?
I was going to say on that T-share rate, that's why people are talking about pulse chain. People will most likely, with cheaper fees, will stake shorter, which will also ratchet the price of the T-share.
Yeah, but pulse pay has nothing to do with that. I try to be completely neutral in when I talk about things. I talk to Cash, talk for about an hour and a half. I am not trying to go him or him. I do agree that if, again, like Buck was talking about a financial person, if you're going to talk about you're going to usurp my term game theory, but you haven't worked 18 to 36 hour days for 14 years building games, you probably shouldn't use that term when I'm in the room. I will probably get angry, and I will probably ask you to defend the fact that you're going to be like, it's just my opinion, man. Like, well, it ain't game theory because you're not the game master. You didn't develop shit. In fact, you can't even tell me the mathematical equation of what game theory is. So I'd highly advise you not to use that word. But pulse pay is very different paradigms. I ain't shitting on shit, but
I didn't say that. I said that's why people were talking about pulse chain and lower stakes.
Oh, pulse chain. I'm so sorry. I heard pulse chain and pulse pay. The problem is that people use the name in front of it. It's like people that call me crypto instead of Kool-Aid. But you know what I mean? It's like it's just Kool-Aid. Everyone's named crypto in this shit or their name tags. But I apologize. I misheard you. So Axis Alive said it when I was on with him and Wales at the Nixon 40-year anniversary. Having Hex, Again, Alex is using hex as a term, but it's having T shares on two sides of a chain. It's like having two different suns or two different black holes on either side. Now we can kind of see that from ETH Power and ETH Fair, except those two fucking chains don't have fucking gas to live on. Like literally, they were forkaroo last bullshit attempts to do something. Is it a free simulation for me? Goddamn right it is. But for other people, it's not. If you didn't get your liquidity in, get your liquidity out, I wouldn't play with it till there's actually some use case for it down the road. But I tried to explain it earlier on how forking Unreal 5 or merging Unreal 5 is different than forking Unreal 4. I don't know if you were here for that, but I mean, I've said it a whole bunch of times. It's important to understand the difference of what Pulse Chain is actually doing in its modern set. But again, I am not a fucking Solidity or a Golang programmer or a Gas programmer or all the rest of it. I'm a simple systemic designer and a simple artist. But I can see things for what they're worth, and that is that.
And that's to the fact that Icosa and Hex are both actual real things we can rock and roll with right now, unlike Pulse Chain or Pulse Pay or any of this. It's all speculative. Until that thing launches, it's not. It's just a screenshot of something we've seen.
Right.
That's all.
Sure.
Well, and that's where I would go with what I was trying to ask you, which was about how the Godwill could essentially impact or increase Icosa, because he's in the Hedron and his stake will come up August?
It depends on what he does. Ideally, if you leave it staked, you maintain the T-share rate that you have for your yield, because when you do, so let's take the rounding error out for bonuses and all the rest of that stuff. When you lock in your unlimited year, whenever infinity stake, you're locking in at a particular T-share rate. Now, if you want to know proper game theory for this, you talk to Gifford or Sloth or RH Max. Like they will talk more, not what the fuck Larry, and get you lost in this, but you are locking it at a particular rate. And the second that you unstake it, whether that's a month, a year, 10 years, 100 years, now you do earn that yield that you're getting, but now you have to re-lock in your rate at the particular T-share rate of what it does. So if the Godwell, let's assume that let's just think about like mistresses, right? Or wives if you're poly or whatever. If you treat one particular relationship and another relationship in a copacetic, that's great. But if Godwill never unstakes his Hedron that he staked, and he punches the T-share rate, he never wants to unstake that Hedron because he's earning that Hedron yield, just like a Watsa stake is unlimited yield till you cash out. It's a piñata that accepts tokens at the time it was created. Watts is a little bit more complex and a little bit more different, a little bit more dynamic. That's why I love everything that fucking Alex does, is because it has multiple tiers of articulate deliciousness to it. So there is a difference, because let's just say that Godwill never needs to unstake. I mean, he bought Ethereum and just held on to the goddamn thing for fucking 6 years. Why does he need to unstake?
Pretty confident Godwill is Richard, but that's another side thing.
No. That is very, 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 very. Well, it could be your opinion, but Richard hated Ethereum when Godwill bought that. In fact, that's when he was a Bitcoin maxi, and so again, it could be anyone. But I tell you what,
could be you.
But we do know that definitely not me. I am a student loan debt slave that happen to understand mechanics of game design better than most because I build video games as slave labor. But we do know that Gary did vet Godwill, that Godwill is actually, his Twitter profile is actually married to that wallet.
Nice.
So there is a one-to-one.
If you're right and he rolls over every 45 days, like you were predicting or suggesting he might do, and that cranks up the share rate, does that not incentivize more selling? Or it's both, it's good and bad, right? Like
No,
it's
no, sir. You are confusing mechanics. I would like you to explain to me sell pressure, buy pressure, and T-share rate all at the exact same time in 3 different columns, please, sir.
I can't do that because I'm a wrecked pleb, for one.
No. You are not
No,
a
I'm
rec
just
pleb.
joking.
Do not debase yourself. I'm just asking you for simple damn math because you asked a question, right? And I'm
Yeah,
saying
no, I just
take your question and put them into columns. Explain buy pressure, sell pressure, and T-share rate within columns to me, please. Right?
Yeah,
That
that's
we're
what
like Excel 1.0 right here. This isn't hard.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking about too, because you're saying buy pressure for one. If that happens, I can see buy pressure increasing because hey, we all want to make some more hex, right? We all want to. That's going to make people want to buy more, in my opinion. And then at the same time, too, the other side would maybe people are going to want to sell some more because we're getting a little more, right? But I just wanted your view on that, brother.
All right, so I'm going to answer the same question. It wasn't horrible, by the way. It wasn't horrible. But buy pressure means nothing. It was basically a trick because the rate of a T-share goes up regardless. Anytime anyone unseats the most important diode of the day makes the T-share rate go up. Now, T-shares are how you get paid both in Hex and in Hedron. Or any airdrop, like this Congolese fucking communist fucking whatever token. It's based on a T-share rate. So the T-share, I believe, I don't even know who was watching me. It wasn't RH Max, but the other Max, good guy, shorter hair, speaks smart. It's just hard for me when I'm not looking at my computer. But I believe the T-share rate goes up 800 unit bases in 45 days. So if that's 800 units every 45 days, I mean, again, Hexfire will give you all the information, Crispy and also Dev Huey, T-Modal's site, give you all the data to be able to extrapolate that. Now, you can't predict future predictions. You can use them as a simulation on how someone plays chess. So you castle, I castle. Okay, we're playing like chess. But if the God wills $39 million fucking stake every 45 days ratchets up the T-share rate, let's just say $1,000 or $1,000 per units each time. Shit, bitch. We started at what, 12, 13,000 for a T-share? Big payday knocked us up to what, 18,000, something like that. And over 2 years, we've now gotten up to 24. If you can smash that every 45, how many days? Hold on. I'm not fucking conflict right now. So if I take 360 days divided by 45, that would be 8. So that would push the T-share rate, if my rough, quick maths work, 8,000 points per year. Just the God will alone. 8,000 points per year. That has nothing to do with buy or sell. It has nothing to do with buy or sell. It has to do with how much hex is needed to acquire a T-share and how far you need to lock it into the future to get the maximum T-share value and how long you need to hold said T-share, because that's what you are doing. You are renting a money printer for a finite amount of time. That's exactly what you're doing. Nothing more, nothing less.
Thank you. The one factor I was forgetting was that, in fact, share rate does go up over time. I completely forgot about that, and thank you.
Of course, sir.
And thank you to the rest of this community for putting up with me.
You do just fine. All of us are all here together. As long as you're not a stupid asshat, I think everyone welcomes everyone. I mean, I'm the first to go after stupid sometimes, and I do apologize when I'm exhausted and going after stupid because I deal with game dev. I already want to hang a whole bunch of people on a pike. Unfortunately, I cannot do that because I work with them.
But knowledge is the most expensive token in the world. And if you speak well and articulately, anyone with knowledge will teach someone to be hungry to learn knowledge, because it doesn't usurp anyone to fucking charge people. You charge people that only care about being charged. You teach people, you teach the best which you need to learn the most. And we are all learners, teachers, and doers. Richard Bach, Illusions. So I think anyone that's OG and or call it OH, an original hexagon, or just an idealist that understands how things work, would gladly teach anyone that just wants to learn. Regurgitating information, anyone can go fuck the fuck off. I have no time for that. But if you're learning and you want to learn, I'll give you the cliff notes to get you where you need to be in the next route. Or anyone else. I don't think anyone would not. Johnny Chaos, RG3, Genetics, Coffee, fucking dollar costs. Everyone will. They just want everyone to come together as a unit to build forward, which is why it's important to understand those things, regardless about money involved. You can learn all of this without putting a goddamn dime into fucking crypto. Now, the second that you actually put a dime into it, it actually fucking matters. But before that, you're basically watching a sitcom of where did the money go? Chrissy, any other questions? I'm sorry if I talked over you, love.
Oh, it's great. Thank you. I appreciate your help and knowledge.
I mean, that's each one teach one, right? Each one teach one, and the world burns right. That's what we try to do. Do you have any other questions for me? Again, I think we all kind of accidentally talked over you earlier, and if you have anything direct, but please ask. Or if not, hit me up directly, and if I have the time, I can guide you on anything. But ideally, any question you have would be a question for everyone to know what they're doing.
Not currently, but thank you.
Of course.
Hey, I've got a quick question, Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Just on the back of what you were saying about the Godwell locking in their T-share rate into the Hedron staking pool. Did that not all change when Alex confirmed that that the bonus structure was not in play, and therefore that's why everybody's suddenly talking about like compounding their yield without incident or penalty, or am I mistaken?
No, very, very different. However, let's just be realistic. What Alex did is he was trying to literally play 10D future chess of what would happen if the OA staked or the Godwill staked to try to counter it so its yield would not be usurped. Unfortunately, he caused what he was trying to do by a rounding error. It is not a bug. It is a fucking rounding error. And the problem with immutable code is you are committed to what you are doing, and Alex is probably one of the smarter, quickest, and most genuine, nicest people I have ever listened to, talked to on the phone, and or I've not met him in person, but hopefully one day. But that is a rounding error. If you can understand what Icosa Hedron does to script on top of a T-share, there are other ways to get around that thing and add bonus to architecture later on down the road. I have no need to teach this, but the God whales pumping of this is understanding, because he just did a giant next buy, right? He did another big buy, and I believe he staked it out for another 15 years. And then he's been holding this liquid for a while and hasn't been hammering the T-share train. So the Godwill is directly affecting the T-share rate. Icosa Hedron is a child or a subset shadow of a T-share. People get confused with my analogies. I don't understand why. It makes perfect sense to me. But Icosa is the wheels on the train. If you look at the T-share as the engine, and Hedron is the caboose, Icosa allows a burn mechanism to actually accelerate the caboose catching the train, which is the T-share. So it accelerates it. It's nitrous. It's fucking white gas if you're a fire performer. It accelerates the viscin. But the Godwill hammering stake and unstake every 45 days only affects the T-share rate going up. Doesn't affect price. Doesn't affect metric and measure. It just makes a t-shirt that much more expensive in the units of hex.
Yeah, I know. I totally get all of that. I was talking about. I thought you'd mentioned something about the Godwell stake in Hedron. I'm not talking about hex and the t-shirt rate. I know what it's doing on that front, and it's brilliant, genius, love it. I'm talking about whether sitting in his current position from when he staked that original massive Hedron stake, if he like unstaked and staked it again, would he lose some kind of like bonus or extra factor whereby he staked so early and just left it running?
So let me counter. By the way, again, one more time, who's talking? Because I'm not looking at the phone, so I just need name and base voice.
Ian.
I'm sorry, say again, sir?
Ian.
Ian. All right, so Ian, what is immutable code about the hex contract? Explain to me the 3 different levers that actually makes the hex code available to move and change its ballast as a ship if it needs countermeasure.
I mean, you want me to explain what immutable code means?
No. I'm telling you there are 3 different levers that are in the hex code that doesn't make it air quote immutable, but it means it can counterbalance in its ecosystem with air quote immutable code. People don't understand
I guess the biggest thing that would stand out to me first off would be how much and when the OA would potentially stake or unstake their hex for the T-share rate, etc., and the payout.
Very good. That's one.
The next, I guess, how many plebs would emergency end stake?
No plebs. No plebs here. You hit it right on the head for round 1.
The T-share rate.
Yeah.
The T-share rate.
No.
The T-share.
Nope. So the daughter addresses. There are some daughter addresses that are already staked because they staked before they saw what would happen with the simulation on how it worked. They could emergency unstake, but they already still are staking, which dilutes whatever some said yield. But there are still daughter addresses that have not staked. They could stake. They could stake an emergency unstake and burn their entire stack. They could dump. They could send all the hex to the black hole address. They could do a wide variety of things. But what did happen is some of the daughter addresses, I think maybe 2, I don't know, don't quote me on the goddamn thing, but they already are staked. So they're already committed. So the Godwell has already committed a universal time lock stake as a metric of chess. It's already committed these forces to a particular thing. If it unstakes, it resets its stake based on T-share rate. But God knows what other yield and weights that particular wallet has. All right? It's kind of like assuming that you only have one fucking car when you're a fucking billionaire. You have many cars. Be realistic here. But if it leaves that one stake in play, it can eventually end the stake and change the payout. This is simple systemic design. Civilization if you play fucking video games. But it can do that. And here's the thing. When the Godwell staked its T-shares for 45 days and it doesn't sell, its payout for T-share dropped, what, like 0.8? Oh my God, cry me a river. We got 2 to 3 hex per T-share when we started. And now we're up to 6 and some change. Wham! But how fast will that T-share rate ratchet up? 8,000 basis points in a year? Shoot. We need big payday to go up 8,000 basis points in a year. Shoot.
So the most important thing,
definitely a team player. How long has he been doing that 45-day stake rollover?
It's his first round, but the difference is like I played people chess I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know at all. I am definitely not the God will. I am poor as fuck. But I do build systemic design for a living, so I can see that if he's never sold Hex, he bought the biggest green candle. He is literally the one thing besides Richard's statements that actually fucking matters in this community. And he understands the hammering, what happens that if $39 million worth of Hex unstakes every 45 days and doesn't sell a fucking dime, what it does to the t-shirt rate. Including as those go up.
And what if he does sell his yield every time?
Yeah, but he already has $1 billion in Ethereum. Why would he be playing this game to do that? I think that you don't understand how to play a game. And again, it's a thing of imaginary horribles. What does it matter? It's his own money to do what he chooses. Like the little crying, whiny plebs that don't even understand how to fucking do this on a basic bitch board would be like, oh, I'm losing yield because the God will's doing something. Do you understand that if you were staked and actually locked in your t-shirt rate, how that's going to push the t-shirt rate to the roof? So let's just say at the top of the last bowl, it was $10,000 per t-shirt. What was it back then? Somebody can go quote me. What, 20,000 Hex per t-shirt?
I think it got to 10K, so, yeah, 10K USD.
No, 10,000 USD. I'm talking about how much Hex per t-shirt when it was the top of the bowl. Because we went from $13,000 to 18 or 19,000 Hex per t-shirt after big payday. After that, it's been a churn between 18,000 and 24,000 where we are now. Units per Hex per t-shirt, right? So if the God Whale can punch this little button and it goes up 8,000 X per, or 8,000 units per year, you literally created a big payday event to push the t-shirt up every fucking year. So that means, theoretically, you've doubled the price of what it costs to get in the t-shirt without even a unit of value of $1, just in the units required to make said purchase. Understood?
Yeah, I think it was about 15 or 16,000 to answer your question.
It couldn't have been because we were 18 after we paid it. We jumped from like 12 up to 18. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not saying
sorry about that.
In terms of Godwell stakes, don't forget as well, like they won't necessarily change the share rate if they're not the highest yield in stakes. So like on this first round with his stake of 49 days or 45 days, whatever it is, like there's already stakes in place that if they end those other stakes on time, they're going to change the rate beyond what his would anyway. So that won't even, his current one won't even affect it. So it's like, it's an if and then kind of thing. So we can
no, it's an accelerant. It's an accelerant kind of thing. Because you're right, we can already see what will happen with xfire.io with crispy shit. But you can also, if you can see the green of it, see what would happen if this happens on top of it. But you are correct. It's an added accelerant. It's an additive factor. Sorry, airplanes. So essentially, if you really have to do brass tacks, if the God will keeps hammering a 45-day stake unstake to hammer the t-shirt rate, and he never, ever, ever, ever unstakes his Hedron, well, let's just say he did the same thing for Ethereum. He leaves it nip and tucked for 6 years. When he decides to earn said yield, it will have a different use case because as I do understand it, again, I am not Alex, and Giff is the one that I would bow the knee to have him explain that thing. If you don't know who Gifford is, he's very hard to find, but when he does speak, trust me, I listen. I do believe until that stake finishes, the circumvent and everything that it does doesn't happen. Just like the daughter address of Hex that's staked, technically it still can emergency unstake. It can do all sorts of things, which completely changes the paradigm for time served. I don't know how long it's staked. I'm not trying to fucking play Sherlock Holmes with this shit anymore. It's exhausting for me because I can just see it. But does that make sense at all on how those rules mitigate the bumper games of bowling on how this works?
So you're talking about Hex or Hedron?
They both work in tandem. Hex is irrelevant. T-shares are relevant. Hedron is based on T-shares.
The metric of unstake, the metric of unstaking, just like which we
sure.
talking
So
about?
Let's just say someone bleeds out. Their Hex stake bleeds out until someone good accounts them or actually bleeds them out or confirms that it does. That active contract or that MetaMask verification that this has happened does not happen. It's all in limbo. Pretty sure that's fucking accurate. That's even on a bleed out. That's why you can good account anything, which I believe Day 43, maybe it's not public, but he showed how to find the staking ID, and if you get the staking ID, you can good account someone. So I always tried to figure out how that was possible. If they're getting that ID information to do that. Day 43, tip of the hat to my Aussie boys. He showed exactly how to do that through looking at the Ethereum smart contract and dealing with the EtherScan.io nonsense that you can do. But you do have to finalize your thing to make something happen. Whether that's him or Ha. Whether it's good accounting or bleeding out. If you don't, your thing is in limbo. It's in purgatory till that happens. I do believe someone can please prove me wrong, and I am not trying to say that I'm the benefactor of this.
Yeah,
I do not
that
read
is the
code.
case. It's like I was trying to explain this to someone before. It's as if, right, like good accounting is more for the systems base, like for the sake of the share pool, more so than the user. Sure, it's good for you to good account your buddy's stake. You know, if you can't do it, I can do it for you. But really, it's more of a this is for the share pool. It
puts the machine in order. Correct.
Yes. So everybody else is not continually, and you see, who was it? I forget his name. John Wick. He had good accounting the OA stakes, right? But it's not like he's spending 5K just like, hey OA, like I'll do that for you. It's really for the greater good of the entire staking pool, not just you know, I'm gonna do you a favor, OA. And like people were starting to understand this then because they couldn't understand why he'd spend $5,000 of his own money to do that. But it was like more of a net positive for the whole system because good accounting is essentially just like, you know, the checks and balances within a, you know, an overrun stake, if you like.
Well, it's also think about like Congress in session, right? You know what I mean? When you actually hit the gavel, like court is adjourned or season is ended in the series, you need that end to actually finalize the statement. Otherwise, it's just fucking shit sitting in limbo. In limbo, it's still technically draining shit, even though they bled out, but their dead pony is still in the system. It is important to understand that and that, whether you can do something, not do something, or sit in an ecosystem that does nothing to you, decide to do something, which could be Hedron and the God Whale, or have T-share smashing for 45-day stakes. I find it interesting that they did 45 days because 90 days is essentially the HSI for turnaround, him and Ha. So again, I find the whole thing fascinating. It's free simulations for me. That's why we were talking about earlier about the whole cash thing and all the rest of it. I'll talk to anyone as long as they're not rude and they have semi understanding of what they're doing. I kind of got dragged into that. And I'm not going to comment one way or the other, though I do highly agree with everything that Buck said. I'm just going to have a conversation with people to be a free simulation for me. But understanding these levers are actually important.
Real quick, when is this first 45-day end?
I believe it was Coffee and maybe Crispy or someone talking about it the other day. That's like February 15th, February something something. You can clearly go to hexfire.io, or you could go to T Model, which is the Deb Huey site, and then from there take to Godwill's public address, which is around there, and then use that to scrape said data, and then that would give you exactly what you need. But I do not know. I do not chase these things.
Like you say, though, if it does end on the 15th of February, that's right at the next round of the main bulk of the HSI auction. So that is fascinating about him doing that, the 45-day
I did not, like I said, very fascinating. I'm not talking him or all. I'm just saying,
yeah, that's
fascinating.
Yeah, that's good.
It's
45 plus 45 equals 90 too. So
that's right.
I mean, true enough, it also takes a full right turn, is 90 degrees. But yes, it is interesting. And to study that, whether you decide to buy or not buy, but paying attention means there's a lot more things going on under the hood than people are like, it's a scam. Be like, there's so many levers and pulleys in this system that fucking nuts. Which is why I like it. Many, many different bingo cards, if you will, being played right now. Here's a freemium. And Buck, I love you if you ever listen to this. What happens if, no, they are listing the fiat on Ethereum, but what happens when the shorting mechanism on Ethereum differs from the shorting mechanism on Pulse Chain for Hex? And what does that do to the change in ratcheting of the T-share rate? Delicious. Interesting.
This is why you don't take a day off crypto. Thought-provoking things like that.
Just Kool-Aid. Everyone here has crypto or Hex in their name. Just Kool-Aid. My day job is a hell of a lot worse than dealing with this shit, though. But yes, just Kool-Aid, Chris. David, I've been seeing you here since I've been in the goddamn hot tub. Don't make me call your cell phone to summon you online. I see you, David.
So Kool-Aid, you in the Kool-Aid. Because I could hear water, and we're like, my husband and I are going, sounds like somebody's like in the water or something.
The hot tub is my second office. Thank you kindly.
Boosh. That's a great second office.
I mean, if you know me, I work around the clock, but sit in the hot tub. Now I'm trying to like summon sloth.
Do you smoke cigars, bro? You into cigars?
No, but I mean, I smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. But I mean, people that told me I was going to die when I was a truck driver back in 2003, 2004, when I rode out Hurricane Katrina in a semi truck, I drank 16 energy drinks and 4 pots of coffee a day. They told me I was going to die too. I have no patience for people that are pussies and decide to die. But cigars, they're fun every now and then. I do prefer a cigarette because there's time on and time off. A cigar is a committed time block of space, especially if you're dealing with a nice cigar, because you ain't putting that goddamn shit out.
Yeah, I've quit smoking cigarettes twice in the last year, and I've just quit again. But this time, I need to smoke something. So I'm gonna go to the cigar shop tomorrow. I don't know, bro. Cigarettes is no good. I want to be when I'm 40. I want to be running around the field with my son, not like still smoking like you're smoking every day, right? Like a lot of cigarettes. So I don't know.
I'm
Maybe
41,
maybe
and I'm still a competitive dancer. If you don't know, I can still do aerials and all the crazy flips and all the rest of that goddamn shit. It's not pleasant, but now I am texting Sloth because he is listening but not arriving after I've seen him here for several hours.
I'm here, man.
There you are. There you are. What you doing, buddy?
I got an assignment for tomorrow I've been working on.
Good. Get your damn homework done, or you're gonna make fucking Larry angry and summon the Babadook, the fucking devil, and the chicken. And then you're gonna question why the chicken crossed the road because you had student loans.
Well, I'll see the chicken on the other side then, I guess.
I guess. How's everything going, man?
It's good. Just relaxing. Just got to get this done for tomorrow. Full week of patience. Got done with. So yeah, I'm just looking to the weekend for more work. Hopefully a stream. I got.
Well, it's not peer pressure. It's just your turn, my sir. And you've got a stream queued that I need to watch. It was you and Crispy, I believe. That just happened yesterday? It's always time traveling.
Yeah, that was yesterday. It was a fun one. It was a great conversation.
Dude, Crispy's the man. Were you here for the Buck stuff back in the day or earlier? I thought I saw you in there. I just didn't want to poke you out because I figured you were working.
Yeah. I was. I heard most of it, and then I went and ate dinner, so I didn't catch the end of it. But I got the first half.
That's good. I mean, Buck stand up. He doesn't play, and he will ask people to bring their thoughts, their bags, and their minds if you want to be stupid. And that's what I like about him. Same thing with Stoic and Coast. Same thing with Richard. Same thing with a whole bunch of us that actually bring all the rest of that. So it's good. Very, very good. Because he doesn't want to see people get fucked. Or honestly, he just wants people to use common sense. At the end of the day, just use fucking goddamn common sense.
Yeah, see him take an interest in Hedron and Icosa past month or so. It's been cool to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people don't understand the beauty of Icosa Hedron, but I mean, you obviously know my back secrets on all the rest of that. So truth will come out eventually, my friend.
Hey, we've done all we can so far.
All right, sir. Well, I didn't mean to summon you online, but I've been seeing you down there, and normally I don't venture into these Twitter spaces, Telegram spaces, but I saw you down there about 2 hours ago when I got in the hot tub, and I'm like, I'm going to call on Sloth eventually because he hasn't come and said hi to me.
I don't know, man. I've been seeing you in a lot of these things lately. I think you might be coming over.
Nope. I got bigger things I got to do. In fact, I talked to another job to probably do another secondary game job in Ukraine. And then I've got the protocol, and then I've got some other stuff I got to be doing. Eventually, I'm going to basically be a ghost again. But I mean, not to you, because you actually can call my cell phone like an adult. But yeah, man. All right, Sloth, we'll get the fuck out of here. Go back doing homework. You need to ace that shit because you're my dentist.
Good talking to you, man. Hope you're doing well.
All right, bud. All the love, man. You're a gentleman and a scholar, sir. All right, well, I'm getting out of the hot tub. Does anyone else have any questions? Or if you really want to bring the delicious Sloth back, he is the man. But I am going to fly out of here momentarily. Mike, you still around?
Yeah. I had to mute. I had to take a walk around the block because my head was spinning from all the information going back and forth. I need to do some more thinking on some of it. I'm glad you guys you and it's man, crypto is fucking complicated, bro.
Like this stuff, like
It's actually
hurts my head
simple. It's more simple. It's more simple than you think, my friend. Try building a video game. One thing I do not want to ever hear you do, Mike, is cut yourself down. Now, I know you're excited to sell your truck and all the rest of that. Be mindful of what you're doing. I did give you a perfect fucking strategy. 35% of whatever that yield is goes into your bucket for a safety dance, because now you don't have yield. And then you're like, but I don't have a job. I'm like, yes, you can do you can basically run dispatch for all the rest of that, right? You're already doing it eventually, but it's not like your truck making double yield. Now, I never want to hear you cut yourself down. And I know you're excited at times, but understanding where that's why I like Buck, because he's a smart motherfucker, and I shut the fuck up when he listens. Same thing with Stoic, same thing with Coast, same thing with Gifford, same thing with Alex. Smart motherfuckers, and when they talk, you listen. But I do not want to hear you self-deprecate yourself, or I will stop coming in on here. Right?
Fair enough. Fair enough. You know, just like, you know, we're all talking about these things, and it's just like one of the core things is like, dude, when you start mentioning things that are actual scams, you know, just you saying the words, if somebody listens to you and buys it, it's just like you were kind of the cause. And that's just always one thing I worry about, but I don't want to think everything's a scam. It's just that fine line. I appreciate it, though.
Well, the thing is that I try to avoid being on that line of, look at the scam and the rock of shame. I say children that should not be driving. That is also a paradigm. I give you story about story about story about story of hundreds of millions of dollars lost in the gaming industry because someone at the top, who is very well known and very pedigreed, did dumb shit. Didn't mean to be a scam, but again, what did I say earlier? I worked for a company called Cinemax that had 7 attorneys on retainer to handle your divorces. Stomach that for a minute and call, I'm making video games and it's a scam. And I lost my wife and my kids down by the river. So, like we were saying earlier to Chrissy, instead of worrying about your retirement strategy, don't fucking connect your wallet with stupid shit. Does the Kundalingus fucking copy this fucking horrible name? I do know that my friend that checked it said the code is clean. But do not connect your wallet to silly shit. There's the new poison attack. That's basically usurping of people copy pasting wrong. I mean, I can tell you how to code fucking negligent code into an SVG or a fucking NFT. And the second you touch that bitch, tick the time bomb. I'm not even a fucking programmer. I can just tell you how systemically it would work. So just be careful with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I forget that, and I think in the past there were exploits that were like that, and like people didn't get robbed right away; they got robbed later. And I try to be, you know, I was really hesitant with even claiming my Hedron. Like I did a whole bunch of like looking in before I did it, so. Yeah.
Let's take that to the very simple thing. What's the most dangerous bug in America that you could have in your house?
Chlamydia.
No, that would be an STD, and you always don't stick your dick in anything that you can't clean with bleach. It's a bed bug. Once you get a bed bug, you literally have to burn the whole thing with fire. Because even they're fucking indestructible. Even if you connect your wallet to something stupid, it may have a bed bug problem with it. And once you have bed bugs, walk away. Better to walk away and start over rather than keep carrying that fucking Trojan horse forever. The palmetto bugs, which are large flying cockroaches that hiss, that's a strong second. That's very, very strong.
They like earwax. apparently.
And I've got stories about that shit from when I was fucking a young kid. But still, bed bugs. No bed bugs. Once you get bed bugs in your wallet, it's done. And it would be highly advisable to pay attention to that, both with air quote scam and or idiots driving and or a whole bunch of people that may or may not know what the fuck they're doing. It is accurate to pay attention to that. Kismet, I've seen you for a while. Now I'm going to call you out because you actually do really good commentary. Around before I leave. No. Anybody else? Last minute questions, palavers. What is your name? What is your quest?
Kool-Aid, did you work on the game Prey from like 2017?
That would be correct. The entire apartment scene is mine.
Dang, nice work.
It almost killed me. So I did SimLabs, VIP Shuttle Bay, Psychotronics, Trauma. Trauma was its own level because it got snubbed in the lobby. And then I was the caretaker for Cargo Bay because our architect for that level ran and had to leave. So I was a running gun for that. And then for DLC, I built the pyramid for the Moonshot, whatever the fuck you want to call the fucking goddamn game.
That's great work.
It's a nightmare. Then I went to go do Vampire the Masquerade, which Paradox fucking usurped our IP, and then I don't share where I work now. But did you actually play?
I played Prey, yeah. Did one playthrough as an engineer. Second one I went Typhon build or whatever.
What's interesting is the ending, which we did not know what was going to happen. Brother, hold on one second. You good?
Yeah,
Have a good one. You too, bud. So we did not know what the ending was going to be till we were about 2 months to cert, which is why I kind of laugh at all these people that think that they're crypto bros that don't know anything about being like, well, try building a game for 5 years and not knowing what the ending was going to be till 2 months before cert. And they're like, when launch, sir, of so many things so I can press a button because I'm a child. So if you replay Prey, if you actually have access to it, I'm going to challenge you to the one thing that nobody knows except me because I'm the architect of it. When you wake up, go to Patricia, pick up the light and throw it directly at the wall in front of you. Now, obviously, you know the whole thing is a facade that I had to make with real reality. We can't video game shit. Real things womp up, real things move down, real walls fold. But after that, you go in the elevator, then exit the elevator, and the light's still there. So pick up Lighty McLightface, open the door to the helicopter thing, throw the light towards the helicopter. Don't throw it on top of the helicopter. Clipping, we did not have level streaming. It's a nightmare. But then get in the helicopter, arrive on the TransStar building, the light's outside. Pick it up, throw it right at Sybil, that simple little fucking horror of a fucking bot. Right at her face. Then get back in the elevator, go in, Sybil is gone, Alex is there, pick up the light and throw it at Alex's face. That is the journey of Lighty McLightface. But nobody that even worked on the goddamn name probably knows you can do that. The only reason why I do is it's my fucking map. That tells you the understanding of true systemic design on how things bind and wield into each other. Dude, we did not even know what if you mimicked into a cup and used psionic blast or all the rest of that to shoot you into the fucking ethos that now you're on top of some goddamn pipe that I had to fucking fix to build. Stupid. But what it is say yes to the player. People that want to talk about all this crypto stuff, if they actually played arcane games, whether you're looking at Deathloop, Dishonored, Prey, all the rest of that, you're gonna learn some serious goddamn maths on how to actually build systemic design systems, not a system design system. A system design is one tier. Systemic design is if the player can do it, we say yes to it, and how the fuck do we balance it? That's really the inherent of systemic design. And really the only people that do it are arcane games. I mean, fuck, Raft left to make Wild West from Wolfeye, which is the first 2.5D-esque systemic design. But if you can handle systemic designs, game over, man. Because I've said it a billion times, real reality is very, very simple. People are lazy and they will not show up. In fake reality, it has to fucking work. In multi-tiered systemic reality, you have to make it work across everything, which means dealing with real reality, where even Eric Thomas says, if you want to succeed as much as you want to breathe, then you'd be successful. You still need to show up 90% of the time to fill that trunk. So, yeah, dude, if you played Prey, tip the hat to you. By the way, who was talking that played Prey? Hardly anyone. Oh, by the way, DR's in here. Everyone go to thepulsetube.com. It is the best aggregator site out here. Tip of the hat to you, DR. But who played Prey? Who was on the liner?
Oh, that's me.
Synthwave?
Synthwave. Yeah.
All right. One second. Fine. Chat. Dude. There we go. Real work, obviously. Gotcha.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, sir. You did play my game. I'm just proving that I actually built that fucking city outside the apartment in 3 weeks. Actually, the funny thing is, when they're doing the title screen, if you really look to the right when the helicopter pilot thing is, I took a mountain, I shoved it under the ocean, I took some squatty potty bullshit fucking square building, turned it into Alcatraz, threw a cloud in front of it, and I'm just like, Yahtzee, done. Or during that helicopter ride, look at the ribbon trees on the left-hand side, because they wouldn't even give me real trees. So I had to basically build trees as a ribbon. Fucking video games.
Some ingenuity, man. Jeez.
It's fucking video games, man. That's why I laugh at people that don't understand. Oh, the people that usurp the term game theory makes me very, very angry. Because I will give them my job for a day. They will cry like little bitches to be out of hell. I have been here since Dante made his Inferno. Shut the fuck up.
You know, I like you coming in here, Goulet, man, that I don't have to talk so much. It's nice to be able to, like, just shut up and listen to other people. Thank you.
I mean, I was an outbound telemarketer for 5 years. I assure you I can talk. Most people, the problem is when I actually listen to myself, I realize I'm trying to not talk fast. But when I listen to myself, I'm like, Jesus, I fucking talk fast. But anyway, it is what it is, what it is, what it is. Synthwave, send me your Twitter so I can find you. I already have my connection there, but that way I can actually find you. Telegram can suck a giant donkey dick. I have no desire to see 10,000 unread messages and 10,000 unread rooms. So, but anyone that has played my game, if you actually play my game, fast track to Chit Chat, because if you understand the uniqueness of how Arcane works from both Harvey and or Wrath, or all the other badasses that are there, you can literally learn so much about crypto for free, because all the other plebs don't even understand systemic design, more or less system design. They just understand buy and sell. So, yeah, hit me up with your info source and get a hold of you.
Will do. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And Mike, no negging yourself, or you will make Larry angry. Nobody wants an angry Larry. We can ask to be this. That there are many people that know that angry Kool-Aid is not good. But no negging yourself. Don't get too overexcited either. Understand what you're doing, make strategic choices, and keep going from there. And if you do that, you're going to be fine. Just fine. But you do throw this thing that gets people listening. And again, I was listening to a couple of them on YouTube that eventually I decided I'd come in and hang out. So normally I listen to 90% of everything later on down the road, unless I'm heckling Corey Costa about his meatballs in his robe, because I love the fuck out of that guy too. But normally I'm not in real time, but you're doing a good job. So no negging of yourself. Also, no silly problems either. Correct, sir?
You know, it's just like the fine line between that stairway to heaven and then a cliff with some of these other things. I really just like staking my coins.
Sure. But let me ask you, what's the difference between a lock and a levee when you're dealing with the Panama Canal?
I don't understand that reference.
Okay, do you understand what locks are?
Like it's like a small lake.
Yes, but the thing is that you have to have a small lake, and you put Mr. McCruise ship in there, and it raises the water up there, and then the door opens on the other side. Think of it like a bridge. It's exactly like a bridge, actually. And you have multiple locks to get up to the big lake at the top, to then sail across, and then use multiple locks to go down. Now, levees is what happened when Hurricane Katrina pushed water over the locks, or the let's call them the watchers on the wall, that then all the water came undone. Same thing as like, I was watching a damn show that I haven't seen in a while, like World War Z, when they were in Jerusalem, and they were all singing and dancing, and the zombies basically made a human zombie ladder to get to the top. And after, you just need one to get over the top. After that, game on, bitches. So understanding that is actually rather important, regardless if you were invested or not. Does that make sense at all, sir?
Yeah, no, thank you. You know, I'm glad that you come in. Thank you very much. I gotta do, my brain's like kind of rushing with all the information, so I want to need to sleep on it. But no, thank you. Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't beat myself up. Like, remember, guys, not financial advice.
Dude, I'll give you game theory advice at the end of the day, but unless you built a game, I really give zero fucks of what you have to say. But here's the thing: is everyone can be a game developer. Everyone can do what you need to do. You just have to fucking work. You have to grind. You have to do what you got to do. And it's not just asking questions, but providing answers. If someone, again, the whole Bucks stint is earlier, be like, okay, let me give you a whole bunch of softballs and see if it fucking works. If you can't answer that, you probably are not allowed to be driving the bus. So again, no negging, Mike. Otherwise, I will stop coming in.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Take it to Zawa Cave Complex.
Yeah. Who's the other person I just popped in? I'm sorry, I can't see who's talking. But there's Mike and one other one. Who's the other one? There are two of you. I know there are two because I heard two voices. That was Synthwave. I see them in typing. It's you, Synthwave. You get a pass because you've actually played my game. Oh, no, you stopped typing. Now you're being called out. Because I'm dumb. All right, well, I am done with the spaces and all the things. All of you, be good humans. Do the most knowledge you can. Do not fuck up your stack by being stupid. And ideally, if you really want to play some triple alphas, ask Synthwave to play Prey in front of you, because people don't play my games. But should you, you'll learn to say yes to the player. And if you learn how to say yes to your bag, don't suck it up by doing silly damn shit. And I think that any big founder, whether that's Hedron, Alex, Fiat, Coast, even Dip and Golkey, they don't want you to fuck up shit and not be at your full fruition. But if your wallet's compromised, you're done. So be wary, because there are going to be more than air quote scams going around. There's going to be infestation of bed bugs in your wallet. It is going to happen, quote me now. So just be careful of that shit. All right,
No, I've
gents,
been saying
I'm
for
out.
a while, like, this is going to, like, after this last FUD campaign, bro, if you thought this last one was bad, just wait till the next one. Like, it's people are trying to mimic Hex for a reason. Like, it's because it's that special. And,
Yeah, well, the thing is that back in the day, we had, again, if I have to quote it, BitConnect, Regal Coin, Hextra Coin, Daver Coin, Eigen Coin. That's just on the Ponzi side. There were a bunch more. And then on the virtual air quote mining, we had US SciTech, Ice Rock Mining, another type of things. And on the yield side, we had things like Dropple. All of them were failed vaporware attempts to try to create something that we have. So all of them were fake versions of trying to make yield. Again, yield, not having yield is the reason why sexes bankrupts themselves, because they need to margin trade to have some kind of volume of liquidity to pay people to do their random things. It just comes into stupid shit. So yeah, everyone be good. All the love, be the light. And if you ever need me, reach out. I'll try to reach out or answer one other game.
We got some like really crazy intelligent people in this community. Like, damn, like, I know I go on my rants, but like I like it when the smarter guys speak up and I just shut up.
Well, it's important to rest sometimes.
Dude, we went like crazy here. This was 3 hours or so, and this was we didn't even look at the yield. I'm not even sure if it was good today.
If you just joined, guys, this is the yield party when nobody actually does the yield, so it's just a party.
Yeah, this is where we talk about just taking over crypto and flipping Bitcoin.
Mike, I thought this was where we talked about how to sell your Watsas.
I'll be real. I look at my Watsas, there's a lot of exciting things happening right now, but I still I just let those sit there. Like I did sell one, or I ended up buying more and in like littler chunks. Man, let me tell you guys, the Watsas. Oh, actually, you should be burning them. I'm sorry. You should be burning them. Sorry.
I was like, what are you saying?
Really crazy, like believing in Hex and seeing this entire ecosystem expand like it has. It's just utterly nuts. Richard had a post the other day, man. It was like 4,000 or 5,000 views, I think, or likes. And it's like, bro, I remember back in the day with Richard, and he would get like 50, 60 likes, 100 likes and whatnot. And it's just like, dude, this is the bear. Like, imagine if we start moving up at all. Oh man,
Like, you know, we can still build longer in the bear. So I'm looking at the yield. I'm just like guessing off of just looking off my computer here. It was a pretty good day in terms of Hedron in the Icosa pool, and we got like a 0.5% yield just in terms of Icosa. So like or pretty, it was a little less. Like I think it's like 0.4%. Well, shit, guys. I need to go hang out with the Koga Bears. So I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for everybody joining. Hit me up later, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you, bro.
Yo, bros. And so, did anyone try to open the Icosa app from Trust Wallet? Because it's lagging.